Sit back and relax while you listen to Train Kickers podcast. I'm Dave, and along with my co-hosts Dan and Steve, we're going to take you all around the world of miniature wargaming. On tonight's episode, we're going to be going through what should be our last part for Mechanicum for the time being. At this point, we went through every unit, discussed everything in the in the book in its entirety, but now we want to go through and pull all this information back together again. So in particular, we want to talk about another kind of brief overview, talk about strategies depending on what type of Mechanicum army you actually want to run, how, if this is something that you're interested in, how you could actually try to get into this army, good ways to do it. And then we also want to talk a little bit about list building. We're going to do lists in various sizes, so that way, depending on whatever it is that you're doing, you have some options there, or at least some thoughts from us. For other bits of information, I'll put this at the beginning rather than the end. For other things going on, so we've been putting out some more of our conquest things. We're going to be putting something else together this week. Not exactly sure what. If they're able to meet this week, we're going to do that. If not, I have some of my own things. We also have a couple other filmed pieces and all that we're currently working on editing. The hope is to put them out. Might not be perfect, but the hope is to put something out and to kind of just get some feedback on those sorts of things. Also, probably later this week, you'll be hearing this most likely on Wednesday, maybe Thursday at the latest. Probably on Friday, there will also be a video releasing, talking a little bit about the future, about a giveaway we're going to do, and a few other things. So those are all things to look forward to. And now, on to the show. All right, gentlemen, it took a little bit to get set up because we're going to be doing some screen sharing and all while we go along. But how is everyone doing on this Monday night with Dan now with an actual legitimate mic setup? So I should have to do a lot less editing.
It's so beautiful. I was actually working on stuff before the podcast started, and I was even shocked that no one can hear it, which is hilarious.
Maybe this time also you won't be sick, because last time I had to edit out a lot of sniffles.
Oh no, that was so
I did not catch them all.
Sick. So for those who don't live in New Jersey, which is where we are, New Jersey had a cold snap. No, it had a cold snap. And okay. I have really bad sinuses, really, really bad. Because I took a COVID test. Just for those not freakers, I know you were at my house. I took like 3 COVID tests. They were all negative, and I also took a CVS one because I'm very paranoid about that. I also took a flu test, which was not fun. But it was because it had a cold snap where it went from like 60 degrees to about 20, 15-ish. My sinuses basically were like, screw you. And they decided to basically shut down on me immediately.
Ew.
Yeah. So that was me trying to fight through I think I was on my 3rd regimen of NyQuil. I'm much better now, but
that's a lot of NyQuil. You're not supposed to take that much.
Well, no, third intake. So it's what, 20 milliliters or something every 6 hours? Is that what it is?
I don't. It's been a while since I got sick, so I don't remember how much.
It was my 3rd dose, essentially.
Okay. Luckily you're sounding good now. Like I said, that'll be less work for me, which I love. How about you, Steve? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Finally making some progress on a unit I started when they announced Horus Heresy 2.0.
Yeah, so I saw you post it up, and I was going to write something. I was like, nah, let me not put that. But yeah, remember, we do have a Discord. Not that active yet, but we're slowly trying to get more people in. Obviously, that just takes time. But you did post that up. I got a bunch of stuff I should post up because I've been doing a lot.
Same
I just didn't
here.
bother doing it.
I feel they do look good, though. I do like them. Hold on, although I did want to ask.
The shields work really well.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, are those the shields from the damn?
Yes.
Maybe.
So then, what are you going to use for the Greek conquest shields?
They don't need all the shields.
I don't know, Stormcast shield.
What they have?
Nah. So there's 2 builds for the kit. Yeah, there's 2 versions. One of them has 2-handed pole arms. One of them has 1-handed spears in the shield. And my buddy doesn't believe in magnets. No. My buddy doesn't believe in magnets on basic infantry, so he's gonna get a whole bunch of boxes. I'm like, hey, I'm taking all your shields from you. Because maybe I'll magnetize mine. I'm still debating how.
No, don't do it. No, my God, stop, Steve, please.
On that, stop. I don't think it's worth that. I don't think it'll work that well. I've thought when the Varangian Guard and the Anatoli come out that I might try to magnetize arms, because actually most of them, there's socket kind of spots in the body. I could maybe make it work. I just don't know if I want to bother doing that. I got late next month they come out, so maybe I'll decide then if I want to put myself through that.
Yeah, I'm probably going to do one with magnets, see how terrible the experience is. And if it sucks, then,
just don't do it.
I won't.
Yeah, because you across the year, you're supposed to get quite a few kits. So,
listen, I have everything. I have Minotaurs and I have Spear Boys. I don't think anything else is necessary in this world.
I don't. Those Clockworks are actually. I'm pretty sure the Clockworks are supposed to come out.
Are they?
This time. I saw the listing. I don't quite remember.
There's a reason to play Iron Warriors.
Ugh. If you get your robots before I get my robots, I'm going to be so
well, no, he'll get his big ones, the Promethean and
the big ones.
Got those are, but I think the Clockworks were listed as well. There's a list. They've said what is supposed to drop essentially this year, but I don't have it in front of me. But I do remember because someone asked, like, will there be more models? People are like, yeah, here's exactly what Parabellum has said.
God, I just want my stones. I just want my stone dudes so badly.
Well, here's what you do. You go out to the garden, you get a hot glue gun, and you just kind of spray it all over the place, and then just pull up wherever sticks, whatever doesn't.
That's funny.
All right. But we'll be hopefully in some way discussing more Conquest maybe later this week, depending on availabilities and all. If not, have some thoughts. But we're gonna now get into our discussion on Mechanicum. And again, we said at the top, the goal of this is, we did 4 episodes, roughly 2 hours an episode. We spent 8 hours discussing this army. Let's face it, and I went through and talked about it and also, and I listened to all the episodes back to do my edits. So I've listened to effectively 16 hours of this. And I'm still not clear on everything because I don't play the army. I'm a person who I learn better by actually sitting down and doing. List building helps, of course, but actually sitting down, trying it and see, wait, yeah, that idea doesn't work because of blank. That helps me a lot. So the goal of this is to be able to do a much briefer discussion of overview, ideas, all of that to help you, if you actually like any of this, how to put it together. Mm-hmm. So we are going to start with an overview. I don't know if one of you guys wants to begin it and then the other ones can chime in as they go along. One of you is probably better to talk about as an overview than me because you're a bit
I would say Dan's best for the overview because he has a wider understanding of the faction. I have my handful of units I use. He has a more broad experience with it.
Everything except the small tanks because I don't like
and the flying bumblebees.
Oh, that's right. I don't own them. You're right.
You don't have any bumblebees yet.
That's weird. I keep forgetting that they exist.
Because they didn't exist for 5 years that you own the army. They were in the later editions.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah. They were added around the same time as the Stag Beetle. And the Stag Beetle in OOP.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was like, I don't know why I don't own them. That's weird. All right, so overview. As I lament. So real quick. So Mechanicum is essentially, as of right now, just to kind of warn ahead of time, I want to start with the warning, is really basically a Forge World only army. You can proxy, and we'll talk about proxies a little bit later, like certain things you can proxy to make it a lot cheaper. But overall, it is a Forge World army until GW releases the plastic, which they most likely will. So Mechanicum essentially is a very much, how do I explain this? It's a very hefty army in terms of toughness and wound. With the exception of maybe 1 or 2 units, most of your units will be very high toughness and multiple wound. So you might not have as many again, this is barring one of the units, but you will probably not have as many units on the battlefield as, let's say, a Legion force.
It's a more elite army in most respects.
It is. Which is weird because when you think elite, you think better armor, save, and everything, better weapon skill. But this is not what I mean by elite. Elite insofar as smaller, tougher units with thicker wounds. If that makes any sense.
The phrase "thicker wounds" is weird, but I understand what you mean.
It's a
I'm
weird
slightly uncomfortable.
I'm not happy with it, but I accept it.
But it makes sense is the problem.
There's definitely better ways to have said that.
Listen, I'm open all ears on that one.
You like the word thick, so it's okay.
Oh, I do, absolutely. With 2 C's. So, the big thing with Mechanicum is that they don't have rights of war. What they have are these orders of the high techno arcana. But very much like rights of war, these will kind of determine how you build/play the army. I mean, it doesn't really, I don't think any of them force you to take anything, but they will modify certain units to essentially, you want to bring them. So,
what I will say is they don't force you, but some of them, if you were to take it and don't take certain choices, you are absolutely hampering yourself.
Yes.
Some of them say, oh, we help this thing, we do it for this. If you don't take that unit, like Automata, some of them specifically mention those. So if you're not doing it, you're kind of playing at a disadvantage.
Exactly. What's really cool is that they also have their own version of psychic powers. So this is Cybernetica. And I'm not going to go over each one. Obviously, you can listen to our podcast for that one. But Cybernetica is essentially their version of psychic power. Steve, if you want to talk about this real quick.
I mean, yeah, basically it's a psychic power discipline of sorts, but it doesn't interact with psychic powers themselves. There's a few different schools on it. Some are more offensive, some are more defensive. And they just generally are army buffs plus a weapon in each of them. Episode 1 of the podcast, we get more. Well, this series, not the podcast, of the series, you get more information on them specifically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, but we did figure out that the difference between these and psychic powers is that when you fail psychic power, you take D3 wounds to the unit, but when you fail a cybernetic power, you get pinned, which is.
And there's wounds, but it has to go to the model.
Yeah, the pinning is what freaks me out the most, honestly.
Okay,
that's the one that really freaks me out. Let me see here, and yeah. So then after that, honestly, and then again, I already mentioned the starting cost. So that's kind of Mechanicum. An elite army, not in the way elite that you're thinking, like not elite in a Custodes version.
I'll put it this way. If you remember early 9th edition when Dark Eldar was like up there, they had a list called Meat Mountain. It was all like racks and Chronos engines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like that. You have these big, beefy, multi-wound models that are hard to wound, but they don't necessarily have a good save. So they soak up a lot of fire.
Wait, so you're telling me you have a problem with thick, but not Meat Mountain?
Well, it's not an overall problem. One, that list isn't there anymore, but that's sort of just what the player base has decided to call it. The difference is you call like most things that have any size to them thick.
Well, I got a sickness for the thickness. What can I say?
You do. That is true. Hey, the first step to getting help is admitting you have a problem.
Exactly.
I would say, yeah, when I think of this army overall, because as someone who, I honestly, before we started this, knew very little. And now even gone through it, I would not want to tell anyone how to build something per se, other than my own particular proclivities of what I enjoy. There's a lot of little pieces. Is there any good spots for, do either of you know, has anyone put together any good cheat sheets of like, here are the Cybernetica, other than obviously the thing that we have that we can't share?
A battle scribe for me.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I absolutely use battle scribe for this, but
be careful with battle scribe, because sometimes data gets entered incorrectly.
Yeah, it does.
Poor Thalax have the wrong data gin thing attached to them. They have data gin, it should be gin site, I believe.
Yes. That is one thing I will say is this is an army
check against the book.
Yeah. It's begging for someone, and maybe someone out there has done it, we just haven't seen it, to put together or just make of themselves a sheet that has, okay, here's your cybernetic powers. Here's your high techno arcana. And maybe even for your own army, having something together where, hey, here's a few things. A reminder. Putting down like, hey, here's things I have to keep in mind. Here is some things I have to remember to actually use because it works different. If you're bringing Automata, for my guys, I got to remember, unless they're near a Cortex controller, they're going to be doing this behavior. And because maybe my opponent doesn't know the army well, so they won't know these particular things. So if I don't remember them, it's going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest problem right now is the cost. I mean, the list I built earlier, I was like, oh man, this list is really cool. I didn't want to price it out. I couldn't do that myself. I'm sure it would be crazy. But that's why some of the lists we're going to do is small.
To be fair, back in the day, so this is back when I first started Mechanicum. To give you an idea of timeline, by the way, Dave, I sold my I don't know, what the hell did I sell? Oh my god.
Those white scars you told us exist?
White scars, yes. That's when I sold the
imaginary white scars.
The imaginary white scars.
Did you happen to get any beans to be able to go up the stalk with it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
No. So I sold those to fund the Mechanicum army because Forge World had a package deal where it came with 6 Thalax, two Castellax, one Thanatar, and a Magos. And it was for like 100 pounds cheaper than what it normally would go for. So that's why I bought that.
But that's a small army.
When you paid in GBPs.
Yeah, exactly.
You could actually watch and wait for them to be losing value and then buy.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I remember doing all that. All right. Well, why don't we, since we now kind of discussed a little overview, why don't we get into a little bit of the strategy for them? And Dan has broken this down. We kind of broke it down by high orders / I guess really powers, essentially what those focuses do. For this, I guess I should, depending on how long our conversations go for each, I might timestamp them separately. I can do that later though, depending on how that goes. So, Dan, why don't we have you start with Cybernetica?
Yeah, so this was my original. This is my all-time fave. So Cybernetica, as a reminder, Cybernetica basically makes your Castellax Battle Automatas line, which, boom, automatically amazing. You now have a 4-wound, toughness 6 line unit. That's amazing. It also gave you this ability to basically reduce cover save if you were inside a network link within 12 inches of 2 or more friendly models with Cortex controllers. But the other big thing was that essentially you gain Patcher Cybernetica, and you couldn't be affected by precision strikes or sniper if you were inside a Castellax unit. Or, sorry, an Automata unit. So it could be Domitars as well, or Vorax. So Cybernetica was basically I'm going to take big robots, and this is going to be my chunky boy list. What's really cool is that it pairs very well, shockingly, I know. This is actually one of the, we talked a lot of crap about the book, but this is actually one of the very few parts where I'm like, oh, this makes sense. It pairs very well with the Cybernetica discipline, which, for those who don't remember, the power was essentially you apply automatically one of 4 things, and it was just really quick. It was you get to roll 3d6, discard the lowest on a charge. You ignore the first wound in each shooting attack. You get +1 ballistic skill, and then you can react. So you can get one of those automatically in 12 inches, or you could test to get 2 of them on a unit, that's amazing. And then the Cybernetic power, or the weapon, I should say, was, I think it was just a strength 10 instant death gun. Data gen, yeah. So it was a strength 10 instant death gun that only affected tanks, essentially. 12 inches strength 10 AP1, it's going to hurt a tank. So it really helped out. So you could take, essentially, I mean, in a Cybernetica list, I would absolutely take an Archmagos and then 2 more Magoses. I think you get, 3 HQs and 3K? Yes. Take 2 Archmagoses and 3 Magoses as Magi.
I was going to ask, is that the plural? I would go Magi, but then it makes me think Magi.
It is Magi.
It is Magi, right?
Cool. I mean, that's what I wanted to say it was.
Is it a hard G or soft G? Is it Magi or Magi?
So when I think Magi, I think like Gift of the Magi. Now I'm thinking like stories where when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Magi. I'm sure someone in the comments will correct me. But
I don't know if they've ever. I don't know if it's truly known.
I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, this is one of the very few armies I actually fill out the HQ slots before anything else, because the HQ slots will bring that much more addition to the army. And honestly, strategy on these guys, it's kind of simple on this one. You want to take your Castellax's line. Big differences from last edition, though. They're not AP2 anymore. They're AP3, so they are not brawling units. Do not engage in melee with them. They are weapon skill 3. Don't look at Space Marines. Don't touch Space Marines. Don't get near Space Marines. Don't look at them.
Space Marines have crack grenades. Crack grenades kill you.
Yes.
So
you want a mixture of fire support, like Castellax line units, so they can be in the backfield capping objectives or go to the midfield capture objectives. And you want to take some Thanatars or Domitars for longer support in mid, or like bullying the midfield. And then really, if you have any points left, some Myrmidons. Or maybe some tanks. You're spending around 2,000 points on just Automata, and the rest of the 1,000 is probably going to be on either tanks, support tanks, or maybe some Thalax. Or maybe some cheap, I always forget their damn names, Tech Thralls.
Yeah.
But it's overall a very hefty, most of your army's toughness 6 with 4 wounds or more.
Yeah.
But that's essentially your strategy with Cybernetica. You start filling out the HQs. You get maybe 2 to 3 Castellax units of 2 or more. You don't want to take singles. And yeah, from there, you kind of just build out from that. But it's definitely going to be around 2,000 points of cybernetic units. And that's Cybernetica.
And I would say it's probably one of the more popular ways to do a Mechanicum army, just because it's something very distinct from other armies, and it's very well supported from both a rule standpoint and a miniatures standpoint, historically and currently.
And I will point out, by the way, slight side note, I know I'm going to talk about proxies later, but this is one of the very few ones where you can actually technically proxy. I wanted to check prices, and I'm trying to find it. I swear to God, I'm trying to find Castellans on GW.
It starts with a K.
It's K.
Does that fix your problem, Dan?
Yes, it does. Hold on.
Okay. So while you're looking into that, I'll hit up. I'll run through Macrotek. So unlike Cybernetica, nobody loves Macrotek, which is quite a shame because they do some interesting stuff. So their main thing is they're kind of the stereotypical idea of Mechanicus, or Mechanicum in this case, where it's just a lot of priests running around in robes with servitors, and not so much the battle robots that Cybernetica represents. So in a Macrotek-based build, your tech priest auxiliary units become troops choices, and if they do so, they must take the engines here. Techno Arcana, giving them a servo arm. So they're somewhat decent at punching things, but their weapon skill is terrible, so you're going to be fighting uphill battle every time. You get to move around some terrain in the pregame, which is kind of hilarious. And finally, you could get a cool extra Battlesmith rule that allows you to protect models. So it's kind of a proactive use of Battlesmith. If you were to run this sort of thing, I feel it would be more likely to be an allied detachment you take just for fun, because you think it's cool to have a lot of tech priests and their servitors. I don't know if I would ever do a primary detachment of these guys, just because it's so limiting. Like, it doesn't have the kind of support that a Cybernetica army does. But if you did, it would be a lot of tech priests.
You're not restricted from taking anything, though.
No, you're not. You're not. But you're not benefiting the rest of your build the way something like a Cybernetica build might. Because you're not getting that kind of tailored benefits on something.
Okay.
It is a slight shame because if I'm not mistaken, Macrotek was pretty cool last edition. Oh no, I'm confusing it with Reductor. Never mind.
You're thinking of Reductor.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Reductor. Never mind. Ignore me.
So Macrotek was not cool last edition as well.
It wasn't cool last edition either. Because Macrotek was literally... Macrotek was just tech priests can be taken as basic troops units.
I'm trying to... Yeah,
that's all it was last edition.
That's sad.
I think maybe got like an extra fortification slot.
Yeah.
It's not super interesting.
As much as people want fortifications.
Yeah, I know. Before Dave mentions the next one, I will point out. So Castellans are essentially, listen, they look, in my opinion, they look goofy. There's actually a really cool 3D print for a Castellan head. That's like
to me, that's the goofiest part is the head. So if you switch that out, I think
there's actually a really cool. It's I can't remember the damn name of the company that sells it, but they sell basically a slot-in head that looks like the tech priest head. Actually, it looks really cool. Anyway, Castellan is pretty much a copy for the Castellax. You probably have to screw. Yeah, you have the Mauler bolt cannon on the shoulder, and you have 2 fists. I mean, pretty much
lore-wise, they use the same base origins. The 40k Castellan is somehow the original design and superior in every way, even though the 30k Castellax looks so much better.
So the Castellax will run you $79 for 1. The Castellan robots will run you $80 for 2, and you get the tech priest,
who's a great Dominus.
It's a much, much better deal. And I really don't think anyone's going to get angry at you for running Castellan as Cat. They're literally the same size. They're almost the exact same profile. No, you're fine.
Yeah,
if anything, just like convert those extra bolters into the hands and you're good. Because the only thing that's different, there's no bolter hands. Oh no.
Oh really?
Yeah. Because on the 40k one, there's either the phosphor blast guns in the hands, or you get the fists.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, when something isn't a pure resin for an army, which this is essentially is, if you can find some ways to both, one, get reasonably good looking models, two, they're GW as well, so that even reduces that problem of you're using something that's not from GW based, but also just even cheapen it up so you can get into it, because that, like I said, that's honestly one of the biggest downsides. It's figuring out the army, which is a difficulty. This is a more difficult one, I think, to figure out because it looks so different, but also then you got to be able to afford the thing. All right. So we've switched up the order. I see now why you said me next. So Reductor. These are one of the, kind of at the end of the day, these are the ones actually I liked. Not that other people are bad, but I just like the idea of what they do. Whether or not it's actually any good is another thing. So for a brief, what these guys were all about. Normally battle smithing, which is usually your ability to fix, repair, and help your side. Their whole thing is that it actually destroys your opponent. You can do a variety of things to them. You can make them lose hold points, destroy weapons where normally you fix weapons. It's essentially the antithesis of what normal battlesmithing is. You can wreck terrain, because these are the ones that are going in with heavy artillery and just pure destruction. Absolutely love that. Their ability, their cybernetic power that you can then, of course, obviously put on your Archimagos, can actually make people disembark from vehicles. So you're all about pure and utter destruction. I'm not sure if that makes them good or not. I think they have some problems. I built a just for fun a 3K list. It's a little more spammy than I like, but there's certain units in here I just personally don't like, and I was trying to build what I viewed as maybe sort of their list for better or worse. And I did put in one of the defense weapons just because it has their name in it, kind of have to. But I was looking for, things that hit for blast, things that have maybe the high strength, maybe less bodies overall, but more for that destructive potential. I'm not big fans of a lot of the automata, but I was still going for more of tanks and pieces like that, because that's sort of how I view what they are and what they do. This is definitely a list I feel where, remember, so your high techno arcana might tell you what cybertheurgy your leader has. Other models can potentially take other ones. Like if you have tech priest, they can take other options. I think this is one where, because you want the option of helping yourself, you're going to take like one guy as Reductor and everyone else is taking a different form of battlesmith or different rules so you can normally battlesmith and keep your stuff going. But overall, I think they're very cool. And I think what they do, if you want more of a fun quote unquote list and you want to bring, say, some of the heavy stuff to be able to do that, this option works really well. Especially, like I said, messing with that terrain can hurt you just as much because you don't know who's deploying where. And sometimes that's fun. I'm going to destroy all these different pieces. It's not going to be good for anyone. So it'll just be a much more, sort of destructive fight. But that's the overall, the way at least I see Reductor. And then I don't know if you guys have thoughts.
Just a little trivia fact. Did you know that in first edition Horus Heresy, the Reductor was its own kind of offshoot army list and required you to bring a unit of Thalax? Because the idea was their augmented bodies were better for clearing rubble out of the way of the larger siege engines.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So, I mean, what I put together, I put a bunch of Thalax. One, because like I said, I don't like some of the other ones, and I think Thalax worked really well. But that actually makes a lot of sense. Like, I didn't put Castlex in my list because I'm not a fan of their look, so I put Thalax in, and I just kind of viewed them in transports as like what you do. Because why wouldn't everything want to be transported? Because if you've destroyed the planet, you don't want to be walking through it.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
I thought.
And the transports are pretty damn neat.
Yeah, they also have a cool look, and they do pretty good. They're just very expensive. I didn't realize at first how many I put in, and I was like, wait, why do I not feel like I have enough? Oh, because of all these transports, it ate up all my points.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a great transport, but it's a pricey transport.
Yes.
But all right. that puts us to Dan from Myrmidax, because that's the actual.
Oh yeah. All right. So as a warning, this is slightly on the higher curve of things that are powerful, and it's literally not because of you.
Stop. Oh, pause for 1 second. Let me pause both. Okay, sorry for that brief pause. I at least heard Dan doing a little bit of a robot impersonation, which, though appropriate, trying to clean up. We'll see. We'll see what happens as we go.
All right. So Myrmidons. It's because I started talking crap about Myrmidons, and the computer was like, no. So Myrmidons, as a warning, they are slightly overpowered until GW releases a balance update. They just from the sheer stat line of Myrmidons, they are oppressive for multiple reasons that we talked about in the podcast. Just to kind of recap that, the 4 wounds and the the cheapness of the plasma is just, not even just the cheapness of the plasma, because even the bolters are nuts. But yeah, so Myrmidax. Myrmidax basically has a couple of cool things working with it, which sucks because it is actually a really cool, high order. So the one thing it does, which is super neat, and this brought me kind of coolness, was you actually could take a Thanatar as an HQ model. Now, it can't be Paragon of Metal, so you need to babysit it with some sort of Magos. But basically, the reason you take a Thanatar in the HQ slot is because any Myrmidons that are wholly within 6 inches of that Thanatar become line. So you can use this one of 2 ways. You can march the Thanatar up the board with your Myrmidons, or you can keep the Thanatar in the back, holding a back objective with some Myrmidon Destructors. So that's already pretty damn cool. They also, by the way, get +1 to wound score on the assault phase, but man, if something survives your Myrmidon charge, there's a problem. It also means you can actually take Myrmidon Secutors as troops and Myrmidon Destructors as elites. So it basically shifts the elites to troops and the heavy support to elites.
I won't pause it, but you guys don't hear a robot there? Steve, you don't hear that?
No.
All right. The problem is I'm the side that records, so if I'm hearing it, that's a problem. All right, we'll keep going. We'll see if
I'll talk slower. Yeah,
it might be that. I don't know. It's weird.
Cord.
It's happening here and there.
Yeah, I'll check my cords. No, we're good.
Yeah, it could be a cord problem. Yeah, you are on a new microphone, so
very true. So, and the last thing it does is basically, your Magos, your Archimagos becomes a bulky 3 because it's now a Myrmidon. It gains hatred, and I think it increases its wound characteristic to 5. So you basically become, and I think that's the highest wound characteristic of a non-Primarch. Because Tribunes are only 4 in Custodes.
Yeah, actually, that might be because your Praetor ain't getting there.
Praetors are 3, and even special characters, the highest I think is 4. That's a Dark Angel dude.
Yeah, the highest I know is a 4. So that might be the highest thing that's not a Primarch.
Yeah, interesting. So strategies on Myrmidax, you take Myrmidons. And it's more of a spammy list. Like, you could take Thalax, but then again, why not just take Myrmidons? You could take Castellax, but just take Myrmidons. I'll go over a list on this one much later at the end of the podcast, like near the end of the podcast. But essentially, as GW in its infinite wisdom sells Myrmidons. Oh my god, I hate this. They sell them in pairs of 3s, 6 weapons because there's 2 weapons on each shoulder. But it's 3 pairs of weapons, 3 different pairs of weapons. So if you want a squad of 5, you need to literally buy 5 sets of 3, which is whatever.
No, that's too much. Find someone who can 3D print you a similar enough.
Exactly. Weapon. It is not a cost effective. I did it because I had the money. But there's not one of those armies that are cost effective, is the nice way to put it. But yeah, no, strategies of this are very simple. And Dave's played against this army, and a couple of people have played against this army. There are counterplays to the army, none of which are very good. You buy them in sets of 3, which is very annoying. But my 3K list, when I talk about later, is basically Myrmidons and transports, and then Myrmidons backing up in the back line with 2 Thanatars. And it's just a solid 3K list. It does everything. It does melee well because you have Myrmidons with strength 7 AP 2 axes with hatred, with 4 wounds a pop, which is insane. They shoot well, at long range, mid range, and short range. Because even the bolters, like you're like, oh, they're bolters. Yeah, but they're 6 shots each from each Myrmidon. So a squad of 5 puts out 30 bolter shots, hitting on 2s. And it's just an insane army. Again, the power level of this army is very high, but it does look cool. So props to that one at least. Like Myrmidons look amazing in my opinion. I know Dave doesn't like. Was it Dave you didn't like them because of their spindly little arms?
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of this faction is very hit and miss for me. How much I like them. I either really like the look or I have zero interest in it.
See, I like the Myrmidons. I like I was gonna say thick, but honestly, it's just they look scary too. Like they just look straight terrifying.
They do have that
the designs.
To them.
I think I like the Destructors more than the Seculars visually.
See, I like axes. I like axes and hammers because I play dwarves.
I guess it's like the scene. Probably the giant servo arm that does it for me.
But that's Myrmidax. Very simple, very straightforward strategy. You build Myrmidons, you pummel your opponent to the ground.
All right. That puts us where are we at? To Steve to talk about Lacyraemarta.
Yeah, so Lacyraemarta was something I started to build in 1.0. Didn't really make the jump to 2.0 though. So the basic idea of Lacyraemarta is that these are the kind of Magos Biologist types, the flesh weavers of the Mechanicum. So the priest that has the upgrade is going to be immune to things like Fleshbane, Poisoned, and Rending. Well, they only matter on a 6 instead of the normal values. But the main thing they get is this cool thing called the Opus Viscera. They're going to basically pat one of their buddies on the back and say, hey, you're doing a great job. Now move a little bit faster. And then they go double their initiative value. But what's weird is that it's not limited to your own detachment. So you could use it as an ally, which is kind of weird. But basically, you hop someone up on combat stims and they run out all crazy for a turn.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't even think it's cocaine at this point. It's like
whatever. And then, in terms of thematic units, I think the primary units to look at would be Tech Priest Auxilias with the corresponding upgrade, not Lacyraemarta, but oh my gosh, it all starts with an L, and I'm blanking on what it's called. But those guys, as well as the
I gotta look.
The Ad Secularis Covenant. Thematically, they're all tied together, but you don't get Lacrimalis. That's what it was. Yeah, thematically, they're all tied together, but they don't strictly build off each other the way that other ones do. I got 2 of these in a row. One that doesn't really affect anything but tech priests, and one that it's like, it doesn't really affect anything at all. But it's a cool theme. It's a bit of a pricey theme. This leans more into the idea of the endless hordes of Mechanicum kind of robot zombies coming at you, rather than like full-on mechs coming at you. So it's a cool build. I like it. If you don't want to do Solar Auxilia as an allied detachment, but you want something to just add bodies to the table, this is a theme you could check out. It used to have a without numbers sort of rule to it last edition, but not anymore. So you kind of lose that effect. It's there. I think it's a great way to boost certain units if you're gonna take advantage of the benefit you get. I don't think it really stars. Once again, I don't think it shines as a primary detachment choice, though. I think it's better as an ally. You take this on a tech priest, attach them to your Salamander's attachment, your battle brothers, your sworn brothers, so you affect each other, and you tell fire drakes to run an extra 8 inches forwards because it's funny.
Side note: if you want cheap thralls, one of the better proxies that I've seen, and I have to figure out if it's Mantic. I want to say it's Mantic, but it's the ghouls from Mantic. I think are probably the best bet if you want something that looks like the tech thralls, because I think they're robotic. Yeah, I think it's Mantic. It's called the Ghoul Regiment, and they're good. They're perfect for what you need them to be.
Yeah, just put a gun on it.
Exactly.
One space gun and you're good to go.
Is the ghouls? I don't even remember. Oh god, I'm gonna have to like check it out.
I know I've seen cool stuff done with the Age of Sigmar ghoul kit.
Yeah. Because that's the only thing. If you're doing the Mantic ones, they might look good, but then since it's not GW, that not that it is a problem, but if you went somewhere, if you were going to something official, or say at Warhammer World kind of thing, then you're going to run into issues.
Yeah, that's the problem. I'll put it on the Discord. That's probably easier because this is what I'm talking about. I have no idea where these are from. That was the problem. It's this and it's
You're facing away from the.
Oh, microphone. You got pictures.
Yeah, it's this.
Okay, I got to go to the right spot. Let me take a look at this stuff.
That's the wrong one.
That looks like Mantic ghouls with robes sculpted over them.
The other one, the file is too powerful. But yeah, no. So that's what it looks like. So yeah, I mean,
yeah, for that kind of a build, I would use some sort of fleshy undead as the basis of conversions, because using actual ad secularis is disgustingly cost prohibitive.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of unfortunate that is the underline of the army for the moment. Is that it's
ad secularis are so much worse. They're literally dollars per point instead of points per dollar.
I agree that it's worse, but
at least with Thalax, it's points per dollar, and not a fractional.
I don't feel bad about,
Yeah,
but I guess now, because I'm someone who came into this game once, essentially a lot of stuff was plastic. Now it's GW plastic. GW plastic is not known for being cheap, but I can get in a lot better, and I can be working with plastics, and because I'm just not a huge fan of working with resin, at least their resin. But
it's funny, again, like I said, I mentioned back in the day, they used to have a package deal in Forge World. I think it was £250 to be quite honest. And it saved you about £100 worth of, I bought two of them. For £500 and it saved me a lot of money.
I mean, there was a time when bundles were more than just the idea of saving you clicks. Now there's Battle Force and stuff like that GW still puts out, but the value has changed greatly. And they're a company, I understand, but if you're trying to get people into it, I think you need to go cheaper. And that's why I think whenever this comes out in plastic, some of it, not all of it will be plastic, but whenever they start doing something in plastic, I think that's where you're going to see the army take off.
Oh my god, here it is. I found it. I was trying to look for it on Google. It was a Magos. It was the Snail Man Magos, right? Yeah. It was a Thanatar. It was 4 Castellax, and it was 6 Thalax for $250.
I remember that.
Yeah. That's pretty good because that's a lot of.
I bought 2 of them. I bought 2 of them. That literally is my Cybernetica army with like 4 less Castellax. That literally was my Mechanicum army. Yeah.
You would go far with something like that. So I see that actually as being a pretty good deal. In for penny, in for pound kind of thing. All right.
Yeah.
That puts Dan to Malagra.
Yes. So I haven't run this in 2.0, I will admit. But I have run this. I did run this actually in 1.0, and it plays very much the same. So Malagra is your assassination kind of army. Essentially you get special kind of weapons called prehensile data spikes, which get basically extra initiative and murder strike, which is pretty cool. You can also take essentially the Arcuator Magisterium.
Yeah, I think it's close enough to pronounce it. I think that's fine.
The point is you could take them in a squad. You could take them in a squad now.
Because normally it's a 0 to 1 choice.
Exactly. So you can take them as a squad, and then they actually operate independently, which is cool. But what I find really cool is that you can actually kit out your Magos to be kind of scary as well. So you can kit out your Magos to be preferred enemy, precision strikes, 5 up at Monster Hunter. Plus, it goes to weapon skill 5 and 3 attacks, which is that's pretty good because normally the Magos are weapon skill 4 or 3, not usually the best. So yeah, and because the Magoses are pretty thick, they got you just the base Magos, I think is what, 4 wounds? 3 wounds. 3 wounds with a 3 up invulnerable save. You slap a chain fist on this dude, he's hitting at strength 10. with
That's
precision
really
strikes
good.
5 up. Yeah. And weapon skill 5. It's a mastercrafted chain fist. Apologies. For an extra 5 points. Whoop-de-doo. I'm kind of sad that you cannot do Malagra on an Abeyant. That does hurt me slightly.
You
that would
try
been...
doing an assassination run while you're on a giant floating chair, though.
Yeah, but still, it was cool.
Maybe the worst assassin ever.
Yeah, no.
Slowly plotting your way across the battlefield.
Hey. You maintain stealth if no one's alive to raise the alarm.
Exactly. But yeah, you can actually build a pretty dangerous Magos, assassination Magos with this. And what's really cool is strategy with this is play to what you will do. Your Magos will now give also preferred enemy characters to the squad he's in, right? So this is going to sound like a repeat, so I apologize.
It won't be robots, unfortunately.
It won't be robots, but you could put them with Myrmidons. Oh no. And Myrmidons with rerolling ones.
Objectively a bad person.
Yeah.
Remember how those plasma get hot? How would you like to not get hot ever? Or like 1 in 36. Yeah, no. So your Myrmidons now get preferred enemy, which also, by the way, well, they reroll hits anyway because of hatred, but now they reroll wounds of 1, which they're normally wounded on 2s anyway. Yeah, you put them in a unit of Myrmidons, and no one like that. That is a scary, terrifying unit. And then you use the Court of Executioners to kind of run around. This is a good. I think Thalax are great in this army. Doesn't buff Thalax at all, not at all. But it's just great for This is like because you're kind of bouncing around, tearing into things with rending shots. And then I think one thing that might benefit this army a lot is I know I'm going to pronounce the name wrong because I do it every time. It's the War Crimes tank. The
Karachnos?
Karachnos. Mostly because of the Shell Shock 3. You can start pinning units so it gets you into range a lot better. Yeah, this is it's a good it's not as good as it used to be, sadly. But it's still playable. This is still a playable thing. It focuses more though on it's going to be focused more on your Archmagos doing stuff and your Court of Executioners.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that leads us to the last one. Steve has it written down. Obviously, I'm letting them take it more because they've played more of this and have more experience. So if you want to talk about Archimandrite.
Yeah, so Archimandrite is, how do you explain this? It's like the kind of like the high king of all of the Technical Arcana. Yes. It gets to bring in an allied detachment of Mechanicum in spite of the normal rules. So you have a primary of Mechanicum with an Archimandrite leading it, and then you have an allied detachment of whatever else you want. But the Archimandrite has to be the primary. No allied ever for it. Like, no being the allied detachment for it.
Yeah.
You get to take 2 Cybernetic Arcanas, which is kind of neat. Makes your Magos super flexible. But you get this really cool thing called Master Technomancer, which essentially lets you use Battlesmith to hack into friendly models and either use the hacker's ballistic skill, like let's say you have like a unit of Castellax, so that ballistic skill 4. You really want to hit something, so use your Battlesmith to now use your Magos' ballistic skill 5 to hit on 2s. Nice. Or you give Power of Machine Spirit to a vehicle squadron so they can split up their attacks. Also neat. But yeah, the main thing is you get to bring an allied detachment that's Mechanicum alignment. So this is actually the only way you could mix a generic AdMech army with a Knight Household, because they both fall under the Mechanicum line on the Allies Matrix.
Yeah, these guys are actually really neat. Not so much for like what they do for themselves, because they have their, you can take extra cybersurgic powers and things like that, but it's really because now you can bring in a second group and you can bring, it really lets you kind of diversify what you want to do with it. They don't get the other one doesn't get a high order, but you can still kind of feel like you're bringing in 2 separate looking armies as you kind of build up and all. I do. Overall, I do like them. I do think as you kind of look at all of this, all these different groups, they essentially have, 7 legions, and the legions do create very different gameplay styles. They probably suffer a little bit from the Marine perspective, because yes, the base legions book is the same units for everyone, but most legions, because we did our review of all of that, most legions get, I don't know, 2, 3, and then some characters. They get a decent amount of extra, so that 18 really starts to balloon out. Here, there's very little extra. There is a couple characters locked to certain things, or at least to sides and all, but you have to really rely on this high techno arcana to be shaping your army. Otherwise, everyone's could look the same. So they at least gave them some big differences and reasons why you might want to be taking more robots, more foot slogging troops, all of that. Any other thoughts on overall sort of strategies? So this was a breakdown of the piece we talked about before. Mm-hmm. What about just a Mechanicum strategy in general when you guys are looking at this?
Mechanicum has 2 distances they want to fight at. They want to fight in the midfield with overwhelming firepower at short range, or at the long range from the backfield with devastating firepower at long range, but not necessarily as much quantity. So you're going to find a lot of their weapons are either rending or a decent armor piercing or a decent amount of attacks. I think that's a pretty fair assessment, right? And then you kind of build around that, and you decide where you want to put more of your emphasis and whether or not you want to have more bodies or more durability, and you kind of tinker from there. Or more mobility too. Like, there's a lot of mobility in this list, surprisingly.
It reminds me of old school Eldar. Let me explain. So remember how old school Eldar, your fire dragons had a job. Your Dire Avengers had a job. Your Swooping Hawks had a job. They weren't good at anything else but their job, right? This is what this army reminds me of. Your Domitars will smash face. Period. Your Castellax will fire support. Period. So if your Castellax get into melee, sure, they might kill like 2 or 3 Marines, but you'll get killed, right? Your Vorax are great harassment units. Your Thalix are just all around pretty good. Myrmidons will bully the midfield and kill in close combat. Your tanks are great for anti-tank. Like, it's almost like you're like, okay, let me explain. Except for Myrmidons. Again, this is, sans Myrmidons, because Myrmidons can literally do everything. But it almost forces you to kind of build a variable list, because I could spam Castellax, but if someone gets close or someone brings tanks, I'm screwed. I could spam Thalax, but the same issue arises. So you almost want to balance your list between tanks, Thalax, Castellax, and Myrmidons, which is pretty cool. That's a good internal balance, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I will say this list does overall have a pretty good internal balance. So you could pick a theme that you like just because you like the theme and build around that theme.
Except Myrmidons. Again, Myrmidons are your...
Well, yeah.
Like I said, break it.
Generally balanced.
Yeah.
Do you find this tends to be a more early turns army? So more of Alpha Strike, I want to reduce them, to begin with. Or I have the ability, I'm going to stick around, I will just outlive you. So where does this army...
It depends on...
It's so blended between different ways to do it. So it depends. So if you go Thalax heavy, it's a mix of durability and speed, but not necessarily output. Like, they have some decent output, but they don't give overwhelming output. Their main strength is the ability to hit and run, not literally, but like in terms of strategy, hit and run, and to just have multiple wounds at toughness 5. So they're tanking things like power fists and going, that hurt, but I'm not immediately dead. But their main thing is their mobility, right? But then it's something like the Castellax that puts out like big boy firepower on a durable chassis, but they don't have speed to back it up. I would say I would say on average it's like a turn 2 to 3 army more than anything else. With the staying power to still be around in turns, 4 and 5.
Okay.
That said, a Myrmidon army is going to decimate you turn 1, so it's kind of like a two-turn
See, I was going to just say that's the complete
Myrmidon's
opposite.
a little bit later because their guns tend to be a bit shorter.
He's shorter, exactly. Myrmidons play the late, but I'll get to them in a second. I agree with Steve. I think it's a turn 2 to 3 army because some of your guns are long range, but a majority are mid range, and that's when you start jockeying for firepower there. I think also it does play into long game because you can repair your units, which is massive. You can't repair Thalexes, but you can repair your
automata.
Which gives them stable. You can repair them with a Macrotek array. You can repair them with cyberthergic powers. So it really, and then you could make them stop taking wounds in the shooting phase. It's a very, like, you could play a durable army if you wanted to. But I think turn 2, 3, 4 are your big kind of things. But again, this could mean also that you take Thanatars. You take 9 Thanatars, and then you're hoping for turn 1. And hopefully no one outflanks and charges your Thanatars.
You are hoping for turn 1. Yeah. Because your opponent might just say, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. Myrmidons, if you play Myrmidons, the experience I have is they do have some long-range firepower. Like you have conversion beamers.
Conversion beamers,
Volkites are 45, yeah, you're right. Volkite conversion beamers and the Dark Fires are 36. So that's kind of long-range-ish.
Those are long range.
Well, no, because
it's upper mid. I would say 36 falls into upper mid.
Right. Upper mid, okay. No, 45 is long. 40 conversion beamers are 100 and whatever. They're insane. But I think the bulk of your army is going to be your Myrmidon Seculars, and those are absolutely short range. Like Plasma's 24, but you don't want to shoot Plasma at 24. You want to be in a transport. You want to get closer, essentially. I mean, your bolters are 12, your Volkite's 15, your Graviton is 18. Wow, God, I've played this army already so many times that I've memorized it, Jesus. Your Graviton's 18. So all of these numbers are pretty short range, 24 being the longest for your Plasma. But yeah, no, that's a more like turn 3, 4, 5 end game kind of stuff. But again, it just depends on what you take as an army.
Yeah. And you have the durability to just soak up what would normally be an Alpha Strike.
Cybernetica, taking a 6-man Castellac unit, right, and giving them the ability to ignore ignore shooting attack. Hold on.
You ignore rendings on a 6, inexorables on like all the stuff triggers on a 6 that we're talking about, or
no, the
one of the powers.
So put it on a 6-man.
Ignore 1 wound.
Yeah, each shooting attack that targets it. Yeah. It's the first wound inflicted on it each shooting attack. That's pretty big when you have an invulnerable save. And you just simply discard the wound, which is great. That makes them super durable. If 6 units start shooting at them, that's already 6 wounds that you're discarding if that gets through, which is pretty damn great.
Oh yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah.
All right. I have a few other. Do we have any other thoughts for this? I have some other questions, but they might come up more when we talk about lists. I think it comes up better when we talk about lists because I think your answer is going to be, it depends so much on the list.
Exactly.
So we could do things this way. Yeah. I know one thing I want to talk about is doing allied detachments. So what if you put forward a primary detachment and said, okay, what would you add from Mechanicum to this detachment?
Okay. So, because I'll tell you what my sort of thought was. You are a Mechanicum player. You were standing there. Your opponent walks up, and you have not yet seen their army. What do you want to see, and what do you not want to see? So, like,
I got that.
Okay, so massed AP4,
yes,
terrifies me with my Thalax.
Immediately, AP3, AP4, immediately.
Okay.
So like autocannons, terrifying.
Oh my God, terrified. Haywire. Oh my God,
Haywire.
Please no, leave me alone. But it's funny because it's like you would think heavy bolters don't do anything. Like heavy bolters in against a Legion army, like strength 5, whatever, who cares? But like, who's that one dude that takes the Iron Warriors with like the triple quad heavy bolter stand? I can't remember his damn name, Steve. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Tim?
Is it Tim?
I forget.
He's the Iron Warrior. Tim takes like a squad of like 4 or 3 quad heavy bolters, right? In any other game, Sure, it's a lot of DACA, but who cares? A strength 5, a lot of shots. Against the Mechanicum, I would shit a brick. That's a dead Thalax unit. That's a dead Ursarax unit. That's a dead Ad Secularis unit.
I mean, Adsec died of bolters now because you don't get the carapace armor.
And Myrmidons, even Myrmidons get scared of that.
Because you have enough wounds being pushed through. Because their usual toughness 5 resilience is kind of negated by being strength 5 in the first place.
Exactly. And they're only a 3-up save. So you push enough wounds, like, oh, Volkite. One game I was playing, someone had the Death Guard, a 10-man Volkite squad, and it shot my 5-man Volkite squad, right? I killed 6 of them, right? Which is good. He wiped 4. He did 4 to 16 wounds. Yeah, you don't trade it. It's weird. You have firepower, but you don't trade into equal fire. I don't know if that makes no damn sense. Hold on.
It does. Well, the idea is, it's quality versus quantity. Your shots may be a better quality shot, but you also are more elite, so you tend to have less models in general.
Yes.
Which means if they have a better quantity, they can still do more to you because, my 3 things will absolutely kill 1 model each, but I only have 3 of them to fire, and you're firing a dozen or more. So you can outshoot me or out damage me just by the fact that I'm going to have to roll saves if I get saves. So I guess legions that, they don't want to see things, I guess, like Imperial Fists, because they said heavy bolters. That's a legion that wants to be running heavy bolters. Heavy bolters are a thing, or auto cannons and all of that.
Absolutely terrifying.
Strength 10, if you're running Myrmidons or Thalax, is damn terrifying. So
yes.
Dreadnought chain fists are scarier than the power fists.
Than the actual fist. Yeah. Yep, absolutely true.
Which is not the normal reaction to that. Normally it's like, oh god, it's the power fist with brutal 3. But like you could save a wound here, and then all of a sudden, it's an extra body on the table.
As much as Steve's going to laugh at this, Demolisher cannons.
Weirdly, because normally they suck, but even then, being a small blast, it kind of sucks.
Yeah, but strength 10, brutal 3, you will kill whatever it hits.
Oh, I know. You absolutely will kill whatever it hits. The problem is hitting enough stuff.
Steve, we forgot the most important thing that we were afraid of, that we figured out during our game. The number 1 rule that we'd never want to see. Do you remember?
Go ahead, tell him.
Blind.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, blind. So this is one
your
of the
initiative. Your average initiative is 2.
No, it's 3. Okay.
It's 2, Dan.
Yeah.
Castellax 2. Thalax 2. Magos 3. Whoa.
Yeah. Castellax are 2 or 3? No, Castellax are 3.
Castellax are 2. Yeah.
No, stop that. Oh, now you're going to make me look at this. Now I got to scroll all the way back there. I refuse to believe Castellax are 2. Hold on. Are they actually?
Yeah, man. They were 3.
No, initiative 3. They're initiative 3.
They are 3?
Oh, thank God.
Let me spin my line. Okay, they're initiative 3. Yeah. But still.
So you're still yeah.
It's so much easier to blind them than a Legion list.
It was a game that me and Steve were playing. And I tossed, I think it was just literally a singular Darkfire cannon towards his 9-man Thalax unit. And remember, all you do is just touch them. You don't have to wound them. You just have to hit the damn unit. And he's initiative 2, and he failed. And that 9-man Thalax unit is now blind.
Weapon skill and ballistic skill 1.
Woo! It's just insanity. And even Castellax, who are 3, you fail at a 4, 5, 6. That's a 50-50 shot. You're just blinded, which is weird because okay, so this one you're going to have to help me on, Dave. The only blind things I remember in Legion, like they're not like special, super like weird special character shit.
Conversion beamers.
Yeah.
That's it.
Is that it?
There's probably one other thing, but there's very, very little blind, honestly. It's very tough. But I remember when we went through it, we were picking out when a unit had an ability to blind something. So some legions have units that have abilities to do so, but it is actually very rare to be able to blind.
Yeah, the Gorgons have that.
I was just thinking Gorgons, yeah.
Gorgons. But there's not much. You're much like Graviton, your typical legion doesn't do it.
Does a typical legion get the predators with C-beams? Can they get predators with C-beams?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can take that. So you have that option.
Dreadnoughts too.
Honestly, I was going to say, again, I did not think C-beams were that great, but I might say if you see an uptick of Mechanicum players, let's say a plastic kit releases, I would say start taking C-beams. 1 or 2 in an army, maybe 3. It's good against Marines.
Honestly, 2's plenty.
Yeah, it's good against Marines. Is the C-beam small blast on the Predator? I think, right? Yeah.
Yes.
It's good against tanks, and it's just good against Mechanicum. And even if you don't wound them, you just straight blind them, or you have a good chance of blinding them.
All right. So those are things you don't want to see. What do you want to see? You walk up to the board. What would you like to see them have?
Tactical Marines. No, I'm kidding. No, Tactical Marines would be terrifying too. 20 Tactical Marines. No, because they hit automatically, strength 6. So they're going to.
We're talking about crack grenades right now.
Yeah, crack grenades. Yeah. So that's 20 hits automatically. That's 10 wounds, and then I save only 1/3 of that. So that's 7 wounds. No, 6 wounds. 6.5 wounds. Is that right? So 6.5 or 6.33.
Yeah.
So that's right. That's a dead and a half Castellax from 20 Tactical Marines.
I wouldn't necessarily say Tactical Marines because they're probably slower. You maybe all base Marines get your grenade.
They all get
the grenades, right? Yeah. So I would say Assault Marines are probably worse.
Yeah,
because Assault Marines can get to you.
Close combat Terminators that are like power swords and power axes. I would laugh if I fought them because they do minimal impact against Mechanicum units.
That's true. Because
the strength versus toughness is bad, or you're just doing a single wound at a time, and I don't care.
I agree.
Power fists are hilarious because, you thought you were going to kill me. You only did a wound. Good job.
Yeah.
Thunderhammers are still scary because they're putting 2 wounds out at a time, but power fists are kind of a joke.
So in general, you're a little less. You're more scared about base infantry necessarily than for those types of what we would call elite infantry, like you said, Terminator type.
Yeah,
mostly because of
thinking
grenades.
Like the elite infantry. I'm thinking like even let's say Fulminataris, or what's the other Ultramarine one? Suzerain, right?
Suzerain,
or the Imperial Fist one. Even like Fire Drakes, I'll talk about in a second. But most of like the elite specialized Legion troops, other than so the 2 big ones I'm afraid of are like Dark Angels because they have instant death on their weapons. Right, on the Tyrannic Great Blades, and Salamanders because they can technically reach up to Strength 10 with a Psychic Power and their Advanced Reaction. Although Imperial Fist can take Strength 10 Solarite Fist too, so there's that.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I'm not scared of Suzerains. I'm not scared of Fulminataris. I'm not scared of the Emperor's Chosen One, the Palatine Blades. Yeah. I'm not scared of like this
the standard boogeyman.
Yeah, it's really weird. I'm more scared of the normal stuff.
Well, it leads into what you said, that you're a bit more elite focused with more quality. So if you're going quality v quality, you like your odds. If you're going quality v quantity, your odds start diminishing.
Exactly.
All right. We talked a little bit about we put down here about getting into the army. We kind of talked about that. We mentioned obviously it's just pretty much a Forge World only army. We talked about some options for Castellax and all. As you put proxies, there's not a lot of good ones.
Well, okay, so we mentioned this in the podcast when we talked about HQs, but I will say one of the big things that you can absolutely proxy immediately is the HQs. Literally any Mechanicum Plastic Games Workshop HQ works. In fact, I was just going to say, and Steve brought this up, the Castellans, the 40k Castellans come with a Magos. That can literally just be your Magos if you want.
Yeah. Bam, done.
Yeah,
simple as that. That's technically an out detachment right there, an HQ and a troop.
Actually, yeah, you're right. HQ and 2 troops because you can run them single. Ooh, no, don't do that. No. That's literally an allied detachment, actually. So if you want to start Mechanicum, $80 right there, allied detachment, done. Not even a joke.
I mean, sadly. It's but ugly, but it works.
Well,
I don't like the designs. They're so soft and rounded.
They're a little soft and rounded. That's not too great. But the other thing is, now Steve, because you do Mechanicum a lot more as an ally. Castellax are something that you can bring in to a Space Marine army.
You could run them with Legion rules potentially.
Yeah. So even the box like that would let you bring in the Castellax, and the other model you could run it as essentially maybe they don't quite have the same sort of things, but maybe do some modifications. Now I was thinking because they don't have Tech Priests, they have Tech Marines that would look different. But you could actually do that and then have a legal force inside of your army here.
Yep.
Oh, you could actually even run the guy as the the particular Consularis that you need.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The Master of the Forge, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
you could take your Tech Marine, put a couple little extra bits on them or something like that. Call them that way. That's fine.
So literally,
or
just looking at
use
this,
the
by the
bits
way,
in a conversion because the guy's got a little servo arm. He's got a little techno doodad hand. Just use the parts on a Marine, and you're 2/3 of the way there.
Yep. So just literally counting the HQs. Literally, because even the Skitarii works. You have the Skitarii Marshal, the Techno Archaeologist, the Engine Seer, the Manipulus, which is the fat guy floating, which is great. The Dominus. You have Call. Call works as a perfect obey into Magos. You have the dude with the Castle and robots, and then that's not even counting like third party guys. Like there's one guy I use a lot. Oh nuts! Now I feel bad because I wanted to shout him out because he does some really good stuff.
If you remember it later, I'll put it on the YouTube
put it in. I'll look it on Google. But the point I'm trying to make is there are so many choices for like Mechanicum proxies that it's not even funny. Like you can literally fill out a bunch of different stuff, you know? The robots, obviously we talked about the Castellans. I'm trying to think of other things. The Ad Secularis. You can actually use Imperial Guard technically as Ad Secularis if you really want to. Let's be honest.
Yeah. No one's going to tell you otherwise.
That's really about it in plastic. Because the Ursarax and Thalax don't really have a good...
With work, no, I wouldn't even say that. It's still too... It's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, you get...
I was going to say maybe the Taraxi as Thalax, because they both have that kind of flying, high-speed thing going on. But even then, like they don't look like they're toughness 5/3 wounds. So that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah. No. But,
that's a problem because 40k Mechanicum is like scrawny tech dudes. 30k Mechanicum is like thick robot dudes.
Yeah. It's an army until we start getting some plastic stuff that you're not balling on a budget with these guys, unfortunately. We will get some stuff in plastic. I'm sure we'll see that. Who knows when? But they absolutely do that at some point, I'm sure. And it's just what will we see?
It's called, by the way, it's called wargameexclusive.com.
Okay.
They do some really cool, they do some other stuff besides HQs, but they're mechanic adepts. Now they do have some not safe for work stuff, so just, slide line. But let's see, I'm just they added some stuff too. Huh. All right, so let me just kind of quickly look. But their Mechanicum stuff look great. Like all of this can be used as HQs. Oh, they actually have some Castle X stuff too. Interesting.
Okay, so that does give some options then for people.
Yeah, no. So
if you're really into conversions, you could take something like the Dark Eldar. What are those guys that walk around? They have the whip arms and the gimp mask faces. The beefy guys, the ones.
God, I want to say subjugators, but that's not what it is. Hold on, I have Games Workshop open. I don't know why I want to say subjugators, but
it's not subjugators. You might be talking about grotesques.
It's Drukhari, right?
Yeah. Drukhari. Yeah, grotesques and like Talos pain engines.
No, he's not talking about Hellions.
Nah.
Are you not talking about Talons?
Grotesques and Talos, I think, could be decent stand-ins for Thalax and Castellax with conversion work. Like, move it from Dark Eldar design towards more robotic designs. Like, give one guy a cyber arm and something, but that's a more involved conversion, not just a drag and drop kind of deal.
At that point, it might be just cheaper to buy the resin.
Yeah, but they have the right bulk if you only like working in plastic and you're okay with a little bit of plastic card work and, bit smashing and stuff.
They actually don't list their grotesques right now because they're not selling them.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to find them on the website. And I cannot
they don't
find
actually have them. That's okay. Okay. That gives us some thoughts about what you essentially the way to do this. Yeah, I think you were thinking about grotesque when I pull them up. What we wanted to do now, then, the other piece that we wanted to do was actually a little bit of list building. And the idea for this wasn't to have a list kind of pre-made. We want to kind of discuss our way through it. Now, Dan was originally going to share his screen as well. We're going to kind of go back and forth, but I think I'm just going to do it from my side because the roboting might have been related to just running too much stuff at once. Because I am running 2 different recording softwares. I'm running all this stuff on my computer, and then I was tapping into a third source, and that might have just been too taxing. So I can run it just purely online.
We could try it again if you want.
It was roboting out. I think for the moment we'll just do it this way. I don't know if it would, but I know off of my screen it's working. And at the end of the day, to be able to upload the list, I need to have them. So it might just be easiest to do it this way.
Got it. Are you able to share your screen or no?
I can give it a shot if that's what you would like.
Yeah, that would be just...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me give it a shot. And this.
Fuck it, we're doing it live.
The whole point was to do it live. That was
I know. Just the joke of
There we go. All right.
Watch stream. Let's do this.
Yep. So
there we go.
Should be able to see it.
Yep.
All right. So we had some different levels we wanted to go for. The first one we put down, I'm assuming 500, because that was one of the ones listed. I'm assuming that's
Zone Mortalis or an allied detachment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, Steve, do you want to take that?
Sure, I can take a spin at that.
Yeah, and we'll obviously put in and discuss, and we can have thoughts on why we're making these choices.
Which one do we want to do? Zone Mortalis or allied detachment? Because they are a little bit different in how I would approach it.
I would say ally, because I think that's more likely of what someone might be looking at. Because So in my mind, if you're listening to us now, you're listening because maybe you have Space Marines already and you like the idea of Mechanicum. You know what? Hey, let me listen to this and let me see what these guys are about. Maybe I bought a kit or two and I'm going to listen in hobby and figure out what I do with it. So I think it's more likely to do ally.
Sure. All right. So pick a legion and a rough theme that we're adding on to. Because I think AdMech is best for shoring up a weakness as an ally.
Okay. I know. What is there a legion? Is there good legions to choose for this idea and bad? Well, actually, so if we're gonna ally, does anyone have the ally chart in front of them? Is anyone not able to take?
It's in page 12 of your Mechanicum books if you got yours in front of you.
So I can get
our Mechanicum as the secondary detachment.
Yes.
Options for Swarm Brothers are Iron Warriors, Iron Hands, Sons of Horus, Salamanders, and Raven Guard. I don't know why Raven Guard, but Raven Guard.
Yeah.
So those are our 5 Swarm Brothers, and then the rest are all fellow warriors.
Okay, so no one's in a bad spot. You know what?
Nope, not for
we all personally feel that Sons of Horus are kind of in need of help.
Okay.
Because they have a bit of an issue. So why don't we build it towards them? Plus, if you're getting into the game, that might be some legion that you picked up because, hey, you already got all your transfers.
Sure. So Sons of Horus, remind me, they prefer fighting close range, tending towards rapid fire, up short range combat, a little bit of melee, but mostly that short ground, right?
Yes, because their overall bonus is related to in combat. So I see them much as shorter range as well as potentially wanting to get into combat with you and using the fact that you pretty much have a -1 against them to get them into the advantage. So I see them wanting to get into you fast and not necessarily kill you out, but win the combat enough to potentially sweep you. That's the way I kind of view them.
Okay. So then let's say we have a Reaver base build, right? We love the Reavers. Yeah. We want to run some Reaver squads, a Chieftain squad or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have a heavy support squad with Volkites because everyone probably does because they're just such a good choice.
Yeah.
And a couple Dreadnoughts, right? What we're missing at that point is a disposable unit just to hold territory in the back lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
As well as a mobile but beefy thing, right? And maybe a little bit more fire support and tank hunting.
Okay.
So we're going to skip the HQ for now because that's honestly the part that I think as an ally detachment should be reflecting your choices more than driving them.
Agreed.
So let's start off with the really basic one and do 1 unit of Thalax and 1 unit of Ad Secularis Covenant.
Okay, so you want a unit of Thalax and the normal Ad Secularis or the Certus?
Either one would do. I would say the Certus, only because the shotguns give you better counter if someone tries to take an objective from the backfield.
True. Okay. So we got those guys in. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they got that weapon, Assault 2 Shred. I like it. Okay.
So let's see. We have one more troop, an elite, a fast, and a heavy left.
Yep. Do we want to leave the Thallax at 3? Is 3 Thallax?
The Thallax you want to at least bump to 5, but at that point you might as well do 6.
Okay, so we're at 6. So we're at 281 right now, and that's without an HQ. HQ are running us 75 minimum.
Yep. So for the Thallax, we want to give them either the multi-meltas for some great take hunting, which will open up cans for our Sons of Horus to then assault, or a plasma to take out enemy units that we think might be a problem, or go all-rounder with the photon thruster. That can do a bit of both.
I still say ignore the gets hot, because on the off chance that you roll the gets hot, then that person gets wounded, and the wounds have to go on that model.
So you're thinking multi-meltas?
I'm thinking just multi-meltas.
All right, so 2 multi-meltas.
Right. Yeah. We got a little less than 100 points to spare once you put in the leader, unless we put in a more expensive leader.
Yeah.
No, honestly, from there, just put a Magos.
I would do a Magos Dominus.
Okay.
Not the high-level one, just the basic one.
Yeah, just a regular guy.
And then a small unit of either Castellax or to support the main push, Domitars. 2 flavors.
Wait a minute, this is an allied force?
Yes.
It's an allied force.
So
we're already 400, so we have less than 100 left.
If it's an allied force, don't you need to run a high order to run the allied force?
No, not to be an allied detachment.
Oh, good, not to be an allied.
You're thinking to attach Mechanicum to Mechanicum.
To Mechanicum, that's what
as an ally.
Got it.
All right. Are we wanting to upgrade that Dominus at all, or just keep him cheap to be able to afford someone else? We don't have a lot of options of what we could afford.
So how many points? The screen's really small on mine.
That's all right. It is in general. Maybe I can kind of stretch out the screen a little bit. Because we might not need the other side quite as much. I'll make it a little bit bigger. I'll make it bigger for people who are looking around. I don't know if it made it bigger for you guys, but it'll be bigger for anyone else looking.
It's the same here, but that's all right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
Honestly, I never trick out my Magoses. They're just kind of there to fill the slots, and they provide some repair ability. Like you give it a Machinator array, so that's better at repairing. Because it could fix up a Dreadnought, for example, stitch some wounds back onto it as it's closing in. Or you can give it a conversion beamer and just hide all the way in the back. Or you do nothing.
Yeah, just how many points we got left?
Well, it depends. If we don't put anything on him, we have 94. If we give him a conversion beamer or a Machinator array, then you're looking at 69 points left.
Give him a Machinator.
Okay.
And then take a Vorax.
Vorax are fun. Fast attack, 65 points.
Yep.
Yeah, you could fit it. That gives you 4 spare points, so you can just fit it in.
Yep.
I will say that's not a very optimal way to go.
No,
just
and that's
because you get 3 Vorax in a box.
Yeah.
So if you did Vorax, I would go heavier into Vorax. Maybe, if you did Vorax, I would drop the AdSec. But then you're losing that backfield scoring that we added them for in the first place.
But the one Vorax is an outflanking unit.
Yeah.
So this is the threat of an outflank with 2 rotor guns and a lightning gun. And remember, it shoots the closest.
True, it gives some pinning.
Yes.
And that pinning will help the assault.
Exactly.
The other problem is even if you drop the Ad Secularis, it doesn't give you enough points for more Vorax. You'd have to take out more. Remember, at 500 points, you're not getting much of anything. Yeah. Nothing will be optimized because you don't have
points.
The
Vorax is a great way to put an AP3 melee outflank and just pinning rotor guns with a lightning gun.
Okay. All right. So that gives us something there. So this gives us, again, for that purpose, but you could kind of take this to just about anywhere. And Thallax are really good. I could see if you don't want to buy a bunch of Ad Secularis, if you do save those points, you could trim off a weapon from one of the Thallax and then run your second Vorax if you bought him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that might be a way if you aren't looking to get at secular skies. That's sort of an option there. Okay. All right. That gives us some
one
pieces
way to do
here.
it. That's one way to do it.
What's funny is
Dan would probably go a very different way, though.
Well, no, I would. So this is 500 points. This is beginner level. This is great.
Yes.
This stays at exactly what you want to be.
All right. So I put that in. So we were then looking. I'll just delete these pieces that were kind of back rather than me pulling it back again. We talked about different points. So when we talked about 1,000, we wrote that down. Was the 1,000, trying to run it as its own army? Are you now thinking mortality?
This is where I'm going to say run it as its own army.
Okay.
You can still do 1,000 because 1,000. What is it 30% for allied for? Oh crap.
There's no limit. You can be 90% allied technically.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Your ally is limited by slots, not by points.
Oh, that's so weird.
You're thinking old fantasy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. How much is core again? Honestly, I just run it as its own army at this point at 1,000. It could still be run as an ally, but honestly, at this point, I'm thinking full army.
Okay.
Which then brings into the question. Now, I have my own notes here.
Okay.
I say pick 3 high orders that we start differentiating because the lists are going to look different for the high orders. Essentially, because you'll basically go in 3 separate directions. You'll go balanced, Cybernetica, or Myrmidon. The balanced means you can take Archimandrite. The balance can take Lacyraemarta. The balance can take Macrotek or Reductor, and it can take Malagra. And the Myrmidax goes in one direction, and Cybernetica goes in the other. So it's up to you how you want to do that.
Why don't you? Since we talk about Myrmidax being a problem at bigger points, if someone likes the army, maybe at 1,000, and then maybe they run it as an ally or something like that. Not that you have to try to build it closer to an ally, but maybe this is a way they could kind of start building towards an army, but then they could throw it in as a smaller ally for some of their forces. Why don't you take us in that direction? Because that way we avoid taking it in the big ones. Because in the big one, it's just toss Myrmidons at your problems.
To give you here, I'll give you a very quick synopsis. Myrmidons at big levels. You take squads of 5 or more, but you take squads of 5 because you got to fit in the transport. Secutors go in transports. Destructors stay in the back. At the very end, when you start hitting 3K, you can fit in a Thanatar with Paragon of Metal, and you take the Archmagos with Myrmidax.
Okay.
That's essentially your 3K.
All right. So if we're looking at 1,000,
yeah.
What do we do?
So you have to take an Archmagos. That's step number 1.
Okay, regular or Abeyant?
You cannot take Abeyant with any of the with this one. So you take regular.
Okay. Why can't you take an Abeyant one?
Because the Abeyant does not allow Myrmidax.
Got it. Okay. He'll be the warlord.
Used to, not anymore.
Yeah.
So now and then it's somewhere on there. It'll say Myrmidax.
Yep, Myrmidax.
Yep.
I got it clicked. Yeah, it was further down on this. I did click it.
Weapon choices are weird. You can pretty much. I don't like running photon thrusters on it because it's going to cut into your cyber familiar save. So what I tend to do is run 2 plasma.
So you want plasma pistols?
No, plasma fusils.
The lower down.
Oh yeah, I see it now. Okay, there we go. Now remember, you only have 1,000 points, so you want to put these 2 guns on him right now?
Oh yeah.
Okay, 2-phase plasma fusils.
And then cyber familiar.
And his cyber familiar, there he is.
And that's kind of where I would keep him. You could technically put a chain fist on him, or you could put a graviton gun on him. But for now, he's got a power axe, essentially. I think that's one of his basic options, right? For free.
Yep. Yeah, start with the power axe.
So he starts with a power axe. Leave it like that. We're good, right? That's what 200 something points? 210, exactly.
What cyberthurgic is he going with?
This is always a weird one for me. So I always go between what's it called? In my opinion,
Artificia Machina, Incursus, or Cybernetica.
I choose Incursus because Incursus allows me, 1, to take over a vehicle's guns, and it has the blind and vox silence rule if you use the weapon at 24 inches.
Yes.
So that's essentially the one I would choose.
Okay.
Doing Incursus.
That's fine. All right. So what do we throw in now then?
So leave it that at 1,000 points. When you get higher, you upgrade him a little bit more.
Okay.
Now, because he's Myrmidon, you have troops. So you could take a squad of Myrmidons. Ironically, I know I said 5, but it's 1,000 points, so you really only need 3. So let's take 2 squads of 3 Myrmidons.
Which there's different types. You got to tell me.
Oh,
we're going to the troop slot for this one.
Troop slot.
Okay, they're not in. Oh, the Myrmidon secular host.
Are
okay,
because of the high order.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fine. I just didn't see they put it in there.
You're good.
All right, so I put in a squad of 3 of. Was it 2?
Wait. Oh, it's 2 and then a leader. That's why the leader has to.
Yeah, 2 and the leader. Oh yeah.
And honestly, let's be honest, the bolters are great. They're 12 inches, but
the bolters are great. We could do better than bolters, Dan.
Yeah, we could do better. The problem is they don't have a Volkite option, so I'm ignoring that for now. Because you would have to 3D print Volkite or find Volkite. Let's give them.
They're plastic now.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Volkite chargers, they're plastic.
Yeah. All right, so let's give this squad all plasma.
Okay. I'm removing a 6 and putting a 6.
Yeah.
Oh, so it didn't work when I did
It's
that.
weird. On the phone, by the way, you have to customize the Myrmidon Lord separately. It's weird.
No, on this, they're letting me do it all at once.
And then let's take one more Myrmidon unit and give them bolters, which is literally the
So base.
Yeah, the base.
Okay. So you're at 570. Now, I didn't add any numbers, so you're sitting at 3 Myrmidons each.
Yep. Actually, that's cheaper than what I thought already. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you're at 570.
All right.
I mean, that's an allied detachment right there, honestly.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was that cheap.
Yeah, that's an allied detachment right there.
So, funny enough, this is what we can do. So, let's take some transports. Screw it. We got points. I don't know. Oh, yeah, it's on the option. So
yeah, it's on the options. 135 points each. Do you want one?
Right, do it. Do
you want one for each of them?
Yep, because the Magnus can go in each.
You're at 840. You got 160 left.
160, which
Myrmidon Destructor Host is 145. If you want to take,
then you take Myrmidon Destructors, and that's literally
that gets you close enough.
How much is that? How many
that
points?
That gets you to 15.
15? Perfect. Did I put a Cyber Familiar on him or no?
Yep.
On the main guy, yes, we already did.
Take out the Power Axe. Take out the pistol.
Take out his pistol. Okay, let me find his pistol.
It's probably on the upper option. Yeah, it's
exchange. He has a Volkite Serpenta. It says so. Remove that.
Take out the Volkite Serpenta.
Okay, there you go.
Chain Fist and Mastercraft it, and there you go.
You want a Chain Fist?
Yep.
Okay.
Second option down.
Fist. Yep, there it is.
And then Mastercraft.
And Mastercraft, it's usually
all the way at the bottom.
Nope.
Right there.
No, it's right there.
Yep. And that should be 1,000 on the bot.
That is 1,000 on the dot.
Look at that. It's like I played the army before. So
that's so few bodies.
Yes.
So still though, you got 2 tanks that are armor 15 in the front, right? Mm-hmm. Carrying essentially a plasma death squad, right? What's funny is you don't even stick the Archimagos with the plasma. You stick them with the bolters to give them more killing power. Your Archimagos is a 3-up invulnerable with a strength 10 chain fist that's mastercrafted. Everything has hatred. And then you have 3 people in the back with, oh God, how many shots are those Volkites?
What is the default? Is the Volkite by default?
It's the Volkite's default.
5 shots for the Volkite. Yep.
Yeah. Culver's are 5 shots.
So it's 15 shots right there.
Yeah, I mean that's good.
Dan. Warlord trait. What are you taking in this build?
Oh, see, so now I gave him guns. Normally, so I always switch between 2 of them. And it sucks because I don't know which one I like more. You can take the Logic of Victory, which if you stick him with the plasma unit is better, because Logic of Victory means if you don't shoot, the Warlord's unit gets +1 weapon skill, +1 ballistic skill when making reactions. So they become ballistic skill 6. So you could reroll those 1s on plasma, right? Which is really nice. And they get +3 initiative when making a movement as part of a reaction. So now they're initiative 5, so they can move
5.
11. Well,
yeah.
5. Sorry.
5 extra.
5 extra. Yeah. I like Science of Slaughter though. I like Science of Slaughter because it gives me +1 weapon skill and +1 strength per turn in combat, but it also gives me 2 assault phase reactions.
Which is double the Overwatch.
Overwatch, which I feel for this army is needed.
All right.
So besides the slaughter.
All right. That gives us 1,000 point. Like I said, what we'll do is for the YouTube, obviously, we'll put this with it. For the podcast part, if you want to see these lists, I'll make sure it's linked. But otherwise, on this, we actually are showing the screen and kind of walking through the process here. So
and Cybernetica is going to look very different, which is
everything would, and that's okay.
Yeah,
Stuff's allowed to look different. Yeah, there's so many options we can do.
Yeah.
All right. We did the 500, the 1,000. So I guess the question is, off the time, do we want to do the 2,000 or do we want to just do the 3? Because I'm going to try to put together the 3. Because I'm going to put together what I think is cool, and you guys are going to tell me how bad it is.
Yeah, I like that plan.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So 2K, 2K robots.
We could. Yes, one of you guys wants to walk us through an idea of as we expand. Actually, Steve, if you want, we could talk about how you might expand that list that you had before. Some of the basics there. You don't have to necessarily use it all.
Yeah, we can give that a shot.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to robots just yet.
Expand that to 1,000.
Well, then we're going to 2.
You're going to 2. Oh, geez.
Yeah, well, or even just as a starter base, and then we can kind of change it up. If we want to do another 1,000, we could skip to 2,000, do another 1,000, and then we'll do a normal full size.
The problem is you got to start choosing your high orders, which does determine what you take, essentially.
Well, in theory, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's try expanding that list from earlier.
Okay.
Because I already have a couple ideas of how you would do that.
All right. What from that do you want to guarantee that we have here?
We're definitely going to have those Thalax because they kind of become the core of this expanded
The 6-man squad, and you
Yep.
You still want 2 multi-meltas?
Absolutely.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, we're going to add 3 more bodies, but not another multi-melta because they're expensive.
Okay, so you want to go to 9 with 2 multi-meltas.
Yep.
Terrifying.
Okay, you're
terrifying.
Just about 400 points for that unit.
Yep. We're going to duplicate that unit.
Okay. I got another copy of them. There you go.
Well, we are going to switch out the multi-meltas for, let's go with 3 plasmas.
3-phase plasmas. It's Steve's list.
It's a stressful unit to run.
Yes.
Oh, God,
this unit is going to run up and die. This unit is absolutely going to die.
Shit,
there's no
actual
question
bricks
about
when I roll ones.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, just don't roll ones.
Yeah, don't roll one. Get good.
Let's add in. Let's go to heavy support for a second. We're going to add in a Creo squadron.
All right. You do enjoy the Creos?
I do, and it's something that's not going to be in Dan's robot list.
That's true.
So we're going to add a second Creos.
Okay.
And we make both of them Venators. This is going to be our long-range tank popping.
Venators
Pulsar Fusel.
Pulsar Fusel. I would say they're the ones with the Pulsar Fusel. There we go.
So that's how we're going to pop the tanks between those guys and the multi-melta ones. Tanks, good as dead.
Yep. You're a little bit over 1,000 points. You're 1,074 right now.
Cool. We are going to have some robots. If we go to fast attack, we're going to add the Bumblebees, the Voltarax Stratos.
Okay. One by himself, or does he get a friend?
By himself is fine. It's a pricey model. We're not going to go too crazy and destroy people's wallets, although we probably already have with the 2 Creos.
At the end of the day, unfortunately, there's no way to do this that isn't wall destroying.
This is true. So far, we have a very strong tank destroying base with some infantry shredding in the form of that plasma squad.
Okay.
Let's see. Gonna keep this somewhat general. So we're gonna add a Tech Priest Auxilia unit from the elite slot.
Yep. There is.
That's an extra scoring unit, and we're going to make them Lacrimalis.
Okay.
We are going.
Why do you want them to be Lacrimalis?
Because they gain a +1 to their Feel No Pain rolls.
Okay.
We're going to use them as our backfield anchor.
Got it. Okay.
We're going to beef up this unit with as many servo automata as we could take.
We're allowed to have.
I think it's 8. Or
we're
10.
Allowed. It's 8 total. Dan, do you have it open? How many more am I allowed to add?
I will absolutely check.
It'll yell at you
right now. I think you're allowed. I think it's 4 more.
tech
I'll
priest.
put that for now.
It was max 13 bodies. You can have at most 3 priests in it.
Up
so
to
it's 10
6
total.
additional. Up to 6 additional servos and up to 2 additional tech priests.
Okay.
So you could have 10 servos.
So we have 10 servos. These
3 tech priests.
Okay. You want 10 servitors?
Yep, because these are the ablative wounds. We're going to take that one tech priest and we're going to upgrade him to be the Magos Auxilia.
Magos Auxilia. Okay.
And we are going to get him.
What side or third G? Arcana or Machina?
It's a good question.
What are the 2 choices?
Cybernetica
or Machina?
Are you going to take robots or no? Because that actually does matter then.
We have the Volterax so far.
So if you're not going to take any of the other robots, like the fire support robots, although if you're going to take a Thanatar, maybe Cybernetica?
We could take a Thanatar.
All right, we'll put it as Cybernetic for now. Yeah. And if you change your mind, we can change our minds.
And we're going to give this guy, where is it? Don't forget, oh no, that's only if you have a Reductor army that you get the Immersion Beamer, isn't it?
Yes.
Let's make this a Reductor army. Let's make it Reductor. So let's add our Archimagos Prime on Abbing, so we get those extra wounds and toughness. Let's make this Oro Reductor.
Okay. So
we are Reductor. Tech priests,
so you want to go back in here and you want to switch him. There we go. To Reductor. And that will let you put on, where is the option? The Convergent Beamer.
Yep.
There we go. You are at 1529. And your Archimagos doesn't have anything else on him. So obviously he's got to be.
We're going to start tricking him out. Yep.
Okay.
We're going to
would you like on
him out? So we're going to do something that I personally don't do very often. We're going to give him the Inculabon jump pack. That's the one the Thalax have.
Yeah.
I don't think you put that on
not if he's on a bait. He can't take it.
Duh. I forgot he's on an Abbey.
Okay. He gets Cyber Familiar.
He gets Cyber Familiar. That's guaranteed.
Okay.
Guaranteed Cyber Familiar. Guaranteed Rag Grenades. Because we believe in War Crimes.
It's the right army for it.
Oh, yeah. We're going to give him, let's see, he has Tank Hunters, so let's give him a Melt-A-Gun.
Okay, he's got a Melt-A-Gun.
So now he's super good at killing tanks. We're going to give him a Machinator Array.
Okay. He destroys things really good now.
Oh, yeah. And
you're just short of 1,600 points.
Let's add in a unit of Myrmidon Secutors.
Okay. Myrmidon Secutor Host. We'll add those guys in. Okay.
And let's go with... one guy's going to have dual Graviton guns.
Okay. So I'll remove all bolters for the moment. So you want two... For the moment, you want 2 Graviton guns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then I want... this unit's going to have anti-tank power, so I guess it would be plasmas, because the other weapons don't really care about being anti-tank.
All right. How many? So the other 2 guys both
4
have plasma fusils? Yep. Okay, so I'll take 4. You are about 200 points left. You got 206.
Ooh.
Put him in a tank. Put him in a transport.
Put him in a tank.
Because
you now have 71 points.
71 points. We'll throw in a single unit of Ad Seculars for camping objectives as well.
All right. And
then I don't know what else to do with that.
The number?
Points. Just up it to fill the points. Or let's add a third multi-melta to that Thalax unit first.
Okay.
If we got 25 points.
These guys back down. You have 26 points.
So then we'll just take that multi-melta.
Okay. These guys were the ones with multi-meltas, so we're going to do 3 multi-meltas. That gives you 1999.
This is a very skewed list that I'm looking at.
Okay.
No,
so is it
I like
skewed
it. It's
because
very
you're
balanced.
really good versus tanks
yes,
and good or tanks and elites?
Yep.
No, I'd say you're pretty good at other things too. Myrmidons will chew with 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 plasma shots will chew through not just elites but tactical marines because they're AP3. You have your Thalax that'll chew through anything, and jump away because they're stupid. The Krios are super anti-tank, but they can also shoot elites as well if there are no tanks. That's what, still 4 strength, 9 AP shots. Mm-hmm. Adsecularis or Adsecularis, who cares? You have the Tech Priest Auxilia with a Conversion Beamer, which is great for camping long-range objectives and putting out a small blast. That's Strength 10 AP1. I like this list. It's very balanced for Reductor.
Yeah. So this
notice I did not take the Reductor artillery battery in this because they're absolutely
suck
terrible.
So much. They're so terrible. Oh my god.
All right.
It's the AP11 that really kills it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
For the 3K that I ended up building the other day, just messing around with stuff, I actually did Reductor as well. And some of these are the same. I didn't include any Myrmidons because I don't feel like any of those guys. I didn't include any big robots like you did. I put a lot more Voltrax in there. The Krios I did very much like that. And much like you, I said, hey, Tech Priests with Conversion Beamers are great. So I had 2 of those squads. I did less servitors just for points and all. And I took the special character was the big thing that I did.
Oh, if we're including special characters, then I got a 3K list too.
Yeah. Well, that'll work fine because actually this fits a lot of what I would have put in for my Reductor. So not to repeat a very similar list.
Now, things to watch out for with this list. This is going to be especially vulnerable to what I was saying earlier with the AP4s.
Yes.
And the strength like 6-7. So autocannons are your worst enemy with this list.
Yeah.
Don't play Iron Warrior, have Iron Havocs.
Yeah. Don't play against Imperial Fists either. You're going to have a bad time.
The Krios help with all of that because now they actually need something dedicated to get into those.
This is true, but nonetheless, watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say with this build, you want to hug cover as you advance, even if you don't get cover saves because you wrecked it with Reductor, at least to block line of sight where possible.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be playing a little bit of cat and mouse with those Thylax cohorts as they make their way up, and the Krios will want to deploy and cover, so if you don't go first, they'll get last cannoned and wrecked turn 1.
Yeah.
Because they are not 80-15 front. Yeah.
Nah. Yeah, they're 13 in front, so the last cannon has twice as good a chance to actually just get through to you.
Yep.
And you're fast, so you have less concern about your positioning. You can reposition much easier than other things.
16-inch move.
I would say keep the Krios near the Tech Priests so that you have the option to repair it if you need. But generally, you're not going to be repairing because then you're not shooting the Graviton.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the Conversion Beamer.
The C-Beam, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That gives us our 2,000 point list. Dan, if you want to do the 3,000, like I said, so my original 3,000 was reasonably close to what we had here. So that doesn't show us.
So I'll give you the choice. I already did Myrmidon. Would you want to see a Myrmidon 3K list, or do you want to do a Cybernetica one?
You've already done Myrmidon, so that's the whole reason we're not doing it, because that's the reason I'm not doing the 3K.
I already ran down the 3K.
We already done Reductor.
Honestly, if you're really curious, just go to my Instagram and you'll see what it looks like.
Yeah,
photos.
You already discussed.
Let's do Cybernetica. Let's do my OG favorite list from back in the day. So, fun fact: you take a special character. You take Scurria.
All right, so we gotta be Trader then.
Oh yeah, you gotta be Trader. You gotta be Super Trader.
365.
And I think it's just you don't upgrade him; he's just there.
No, he's a character. You're not allowed to upgrade him.
No, because sometimes. So in the last edition, you could take him with or without Abeyant. I don't know why you would ever take him without an Abeyant, but now it's just automatic, which is hilarious. All right, so you take him mostly because Scurria basically provides that AoE the robots can now react, which is fantastic. That's exceptionally good.
All right.
I think it's within 7 inches. Hold on, I got to check something real quick. 6 inches. So within 6 inches of the Warlord, Automata can now react, which is insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah. He also has Artificia Cybernetica. He has Incursus. He has Macrotek. I think he has all of them. He's also Eternal Warrior. He's a beat stick. He's basically a baby Primarch, is what he is.
All right.
That's really all you need for the HQs. I might add more if I have points, but we'll get to them in a second. Actually, you know what? Let's add them now, just in case. Okay. 2 Magos. So it's going to be a Dominus with a Machinator Array.
So, Dominus with a Machinator Array.
And I'll remove them if I need more points. And then double that up.
So you want 2 copies of him?
Yep. And they're both going to run Cybernetica.
Okay, they're both taking Cybernetica.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
right, got that.
I'll probably remove them later for more points, but we'll see. Because that's what, 100 points each?
100 points a guy.
Exactly. All right, let's get to troops. This is where we have fun. So we're going to take a 2-man unit of Castellax. This is going to be hard for you because these come in single units, annoyingly.
No.
So
okay,
add a
Castellax, add one, so now you're at 2.
Both of them are going to be armed with dark fire cannons.
Okay. This is easy to do. They're both dark fire.
And then duplicate that. It's harder on the phone. And duplicate that unit.
Okay, so you want that unit, and then you want 2 copies.
Yep.
Okay.
Then you're going to take a 4. I got to do math here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Thalax. Yes, you're going to take a Castellax unit, and just going to be 4 of them, and they're going to be base.
So 4-man Castellax with nothing special, just coming as they are.
Just right there. And then you're going to take a 4-man unit. No, wait, hold on. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I was right. And then you're going to take 2-man units, both armed with multi-meltas.
Okay, so you were just loading down a Castellax. All right. 2-man units. Everyone gets a multi-melta. So they got a multi-melta.
That should be 5 troops, correct?
Give me 1 second.
It's like it should be around 1,000 points of troops.
4,
or 1,200 points of
troops
or something.
5 troops. You're at 1,795.
There we go. Perfect.
About 1,200 left.
Now, pardon me. Sorry. Go to heavy support. We're going to add 2 Thanatars.
You're just doing it. Okay, you're just going pure robots in every way. All right, 2 separate Thanatars.
Yeah, we said Scoria. And then I want to add the war crime tank. Oh, wait, Thanatar maniples. I apologize. I can't do this. So, sorry. One of those Thanatar units, add a Thanatar.
Okay. So you're going to run a total of 3 Thanatar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then add a war crime tank.
Okay. That's the heavies, right?
Arachnos from heavy support.
Arachnos, yep.
Arachnos. There it is. Okay.
And what am I at right now?
You are at 2725.
Totally enough points. The 1 Thanatar that's all alone and a baby.
Yeah.
Paragon of Metal and a Solex. And change his pattern.
The Calyx.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
You're at 2780. You got 220 left.
That's more points than I actually thought I needed. Shoot. Okay, so now I have a choice. I did not realize I have that many points left. Did this get cheaper from last edition? Because this was actually my old list. Huh.
So last edition, we had both 85 and 115 point Castellax. So it depends on what point.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm like, let's see them around. Okay, that's weird. Okay, do I want fast attack or do I want Thalax? You know what? No, screw it. We're going to go with the theme. Fast attack.
Yeah.
We're going to go with, how many points is the anti-tank drone, the flying drone?
Voltrax, 125.
Stick him in there.
Okay. You have 95 points left.
Give me a Vorax.
Okay. So you got single Vorax right now. You have 30 points left.
How many did I have left over? 220, you said?
What? No, you have 30 points remaining.
No. Before I added the fast attack.
You'd have 220.
How many points are I have that right here. Why am I asking you? Hold on.
145 for a Domitar.
145, but then it's 130 extra, so that's too much.
That's way too much.
Yeah. I will say 1 Vorax will accomplish literally nothing.
Nothing, yeah. Get rid of the Vorax, get rid of that.
Okay, so get rid of the Vorax. Vorax is gone.
And get rid of the automata. Yep.
The Voltrax. Okay.
Get rid of the tank.
The Krachnos. Okay. Yep.
Go to Domitars in the elite slot.
Yeah. Domitars. We got them right here.
Now add a Domitar.
All right.
Then add a Domitar. See if that brings me to.
You will fit into there. You would have 40 spare points.
Oh, I was hoping it was 60. All right, hold on. 40.
That could be upgrades on your Magos if you want that.
Yeah. 40 points. Let me look at the Magos real quick since I have them in front of me. Let me see here. I gave them already.
You could put cyber familiars if you're trying to
I
keep
put
them
cyber
alive.
familiars on both of them.
Yeah, that leaves you 10 spare. That just about fills it up.
And then give augury scanners. Sure.
All right. That will get you to 3K.
Augury scanners are actually super valuable when you have Scoria. Otherwise, they're useless. With Scoria, they're great.
Here's the thing. Your Domitars are scary, right?
Yeah.
I say put Scoria with the Domitars, but I actually wouldn't. I would want Scoria in the back with the Thanatars and stick the 2 Magos there. Because you want them. Augury scanners lets you
depends
react, right?
on your opponent's build. Yeah,
exactly.
Augury scanner
this
gives
you options. So you can put Scoria in the back with the Thanatars, put the Magos with the Thanatars, right? Mm-hmm. So that they can react, right? Because now Scoria gives them the ability to react. Domitars go up the board. They shoot the closest, but who cares? They have like missiles, I guess. Who cares? Castellax bully up the middle field, shooting down the midfield. Or you could put Scoria with the Domitars and be absolutely terrifying. Yeah. Okay. Ironically, this is not as effective as Myrmidons because Myrmidons are disgusting, but this is kind of like the list I would run.
Do you own
was
this
it
list?
The most effective list? No. Was it awesome on the battlefield? Yeah. Nothing is lower than a 60 mil base. Oh, sorry. The 2 Magos are less than a 60 mil.
Yeah.
It's an army of 60 mil bases.
All right.
Again, it's not the most effective.
Well, that's okay though. I mean, part of this, if you're buying this army, you're buying it for fun.
Yeah, this is spending a bunch of money. This is a hilariously fun army. You have Scoria with the Domitars if you want. Absolutely, that is terrifying. Absolutely
that's a
terrifying. You don't. No. Don't touch them. don't go near that. The good news is Scoria is not actually. Is Scoria fast now? Remember, he used to only move 6 inches.
I mean, so Thanatars move 8 inches now, which I think is ridiculous.
How fast is Scoria? Did Scoria bust up movement or not?
Let me take a look. He's moved 9.
Ugh. Okay. I did not know that. The Magos Dominus with the Machinator Rays repair the Thanatars if they get hit. The Dark Fire cannons stay back their line. They hold your objectives for you. They shoot Dark Fires. The Thanatar with the Paragon of Metal we already talked about him. He's a war crime in and of itself. You have the 4-man unit of Mauler bolt cannons putting out 16 pinning shots, 12 or 16 pinning shots, and also bolter shots. And you have the 2 sets of 2 multi-meltas being can openers. This is a solid list.
I agree. It does a lot. Now, I don't like it personally just because of all the robots in it, because I'm not a big fan of a bunch of these robots.
Exactly.
But that is part of the army. That's fine. I don't want to cost it out, so I'm not going to. I'm just curious what some of these run. Unfortunately, like I said, they're expensive, but yeah, that's sort of the name of the game. All right, so that gave us some lists. We discussed some strategies. We did some overviews of things we talked about before, but in more of a briefer format. So something that you don't have to listen to 8 hours to get a sort of overall view. Is there any other thoughts we want to have discussion-wise related to Mechanicum?
Only thing I could think of is I kind of want to write a list that builds around just the tide of zombies. I don't think it's any good at all. I'm just curious what it would look like.
And I don't think a person should do that just also because...
Oh, no, not at all.
You're going to be...
Because
the amount of money you'd be paying.
30-man units now, right?
Yeah, the 30-man
like
units.
What, 2 points a model? 3 points a model?
Something like that.
So if you want to know, I did do that list.
You did?
I also priced it out, and it was $7,000.
We're going to convert it or go third party. What's it look like, Dan?
It was... Okay, do you want me to do it real quick, Dave?
Yeah.
I almost memorized the damn thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so what you're going to do...
Yeah.
This is so dumb. Oh, my God. So real quick, delete all the troops. All right, so
I already deleted it.
Ad Secularis.
I did. I took 30.
You're going to put 6 units of 30.
Okay.
With what weapon? I mean, it doesn't really matter points wise.
Yeah, it's all free. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter the points.
All right, you're at 180 models of Ad Secularis.
And that was 6, right?
How many points
That's
is
6. You are at 630 right now. They're 105 points for 30.
So if you throw in the cheapest tech priest as the Dominus as the HQ, you're at what, 705 points?
Yep. All right. No.
Yeah, you're at 75.
Put in the
That's
Archmagos.
an allied detachment. No,
yeah, it's an allied detachment.
Too many troops.
Put in an Archmagos Dominus with Lacyraemarta.
Dominus.
Archmagos, not Dominus. The
Archmagos Prime?
Prime, sorry. I think you could actually put him in an Abeyant, actually. Oh, yeah, you could. Put his ass in an Abeyant.
Okay.
With Lacyraemarta.
Yep.
And then, because I give him Rad Grenades, Cyber Familiar.
Rad Grenades, Cyber Familiar.
Drop the Volkite Serpenta for a Chain Fist.
Wow, look at you going right back to the things you did before. Here we go.
Mastercrafted.
Yeah.
I forgot. I think I gave him a Graviton Imploder just for like, and Rad Furnace. And Rad Furnace.
So you want a Rad Furnace and you want a Graviton Imploder?
Yep.
Okay. He's got all those things.
2 Magos Dominus. Wow, I actually memorized this. That was the stupidest list. I remember I was like, I would never just.
You're on a lot
oh my god,
leaders.
I can't imagine moving this.
All right, 2 more of them.
Actually, it's so funny enough. It's actually a Magos Dominus on Abeyant. Wait, can monsters join non-monstrous?
No.
No.
Oh, so he can't even join he can't even join the Ad Secularis?
No. Not if he's a monster.
Oh, whoops. All right, make him a normal Archmagos Prime then. Sorry.
With all those upgrades.
Yes, with all the upgrades. Yeah. Same exact upgrades.
So you're going to have to give me a moment because you're going to have to tell me all the upgrades again.
Oh, I got you.
I'm going to double check that super fast.
Yeah, check because I'm pretty... I don't know if monster can go
It used to be
monster.
something you couldn't do.
But it's a just in case check for me. I'm not...
Well, if it changes, he's not changing. So I'm going to tell you that right now. Because I'm not changing him back.
We should have deleted
Cyber Familiar, Mastercraft weapon, and you didn't take the Rad Grenades.
Oh, I got you. So it's Cyber Familiar, Rad Grenades.
Oh, you did take Rad Grenades.
Drop the Volkite
Serpenta for a Chain Fist.
Chain Fist, Mastercrafted.
So here's the weird thing. It says that no model that is not also monstrous may join a unit that includes a monstrous model. But he's joining that unit. They're not joining him. It's really weird.
Either way, can't do it.
Yeah.
To me, no. They cannot join each other because that's playing too much into the language of I'm not joining you, you're joining me.
Exactly. All right, we're going to take 2.
Wait, what was the other? There was the Graviton Imploder. What was the other?
Rad Furnace.
Oh, Rad Furnace. Okay. Where the hell did I put the Rad Furnace?
This list is so dumb.
You don't have to do it. You chose to do it.
Well, no, I just wanted to see how many bodies I can fit. That was literally what it was.
There's the Rad Furnace. That's weird. Okay.
So then it was 2 Magos Dominus. So it's going to repeat, by the way. So it's just put a Magos Dominus with a Cyber Familiar.
Okay.
It was a Conversion Beamer.
Okay.
Melta-Bombs. Because I needed to fill points to get to 3K.
Okay.
And I think it was a Melta-Gun. Yeah, I think it was a Melta-Gun.
We're at 1,000 points right now.
Yep, that's right. Yep, so double that.
Okay, Melta-Gun. There we go. We'll double that entry. All right.
And they're both Lacyraemarta, but who cares? I know you're going to get an error, but not
all these have been errors. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So then, oh my God, go to heavy support.
Hold on, you're missing the most important thing,
It doesn't give me an option for what type they would be.
No, it's supposed to be the cyberthergic power they get. I always forget which one it is, to be quite honest.
Okay, got it. That's fine.
You're forgetting the most important
what
thing.
am I doing?
If you're having a menial force, you need a menial culling force too. Throw some Vorax in there. Live a little.
Oh, I'll get to them. Oh, yeah, hold on. So you're going to go to heavy support.
Okay.
You're going to take a Myrmidon Destructor Squad.
Okay. Done.
Maximum size with all Volkite.
What's the maximum size?
I think it was 10.
10 bodies.
So
they're sold in groups of 3, so naturally it's 10.
Yeah, so naturally it's going to be 10. Yeah.
So what weapon are they getting?
Nothing. It's the Volkite. It's the natural.
Okay. So so
type in a 10?
And
Volkites. It's free, essentially. Okay.
I just had to make sure I put in the numbers. Okay.
You're going to take the Carachnos.
Okay.
With no upgrades because no hunter killers.
No.
And then you're going to go to Thanatars, and I forgot what the hell it was.
It's a Paragon Calyx because it's always a
no. Actually,
Paragon
no, it's
Calyx.
not. What? No. I didn't. I wanted because the thing is, what kills this army is infantry. So it's a Thanatar unit of 3.
All right. You got just shy of 500 points left.
Yep. And then what the hell else did I add with this?
I'm
trying to remember.
Well, we're allowed to consider things to put in.
It was either Vorax or Ursarax. I think it was both too. So do me a favor, put an Ursarax squad of 9 with power fists.
3, so to go to 9. No, you're at 1920 at that point, and I can't fit 2 power fists on them.
Oh, okay. So then put the Vorax. So it was literally 9 Ursarax and then a single Vorax for lulz.
Okay. Yeah, that's a dumb list, all right. I'll give it that. That is a dumb list.
Where'd you even put the Thanatar when you have that many AdSec to drop? See, at least you could outflank the Vorax and start them off the board. The Thanatar, I don't know where they're going.
So wait,
that one
just
is 3K dumb.
I don't know how you would get. So just to laugh, because I was doing this and I was like, I was like, how do I protect my tech thralls, right? Because that's essentially what it comes down to. How the hell do I protect them? Because, hold on a second, I'm trying to do math here.
Well, your Thanatars are crushing other units that are out there. Your Ursarax are charging any of the units that you'd prefer that on. Your single Vorax is a single Vorax. You have a lot of templates that go down range to kill out the things that you want.
Yep.
And then you have a really strong unit to swap in, because you could actually at least swap one guy to 2 power fists. You have enough points for that, so that will at least save you there. And you do have some options of removing a Meltagun from the Dominus or something like that. How much points were those?
15 a pop.
Yeah, so I would actually probably remove the Meltaguns from them and put some more power fists on the Ursarax.
Yeah. I don't think you even need the Dominus.
Oh, they keep the Thanatar in line, and they repair them.
You don't need 2 of them, though. Drop a Dominus, add a small tech priest unit. So you get the bonus to feel no pains.
And you get more bodies. Oh my god.
Yeah, I was going to say a feel no pain bonus, but sure.
I mean, even if you kept both the
fun
Dominuses
fact, how many
there,
points do you how much do you think 18 so it's 180, right? 180 tech thralls?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So that's 18 boxes. How much do you think 18 boxes of tech thralls is?
We've already went through the price of these in the
times
past.
70 is.
Yeah. Yeah, we've went through this before. The costs.
Oh, don't cheat by looking on Forge World.
No, we went through this. When we discussed
I just know
this
for the
number.
Podcast.
We did this.
Because I really like the idea of Adsecularis.
Yeah. When we discussed Adsecularis, we actually went through this. We discussed their price.
It was 1305, by the way, for those who don't know.
Yeah. We went through that. Though we discussed what their prices were. Like that was the whole point. It's everyone knows they're ridiculous.
Yeah, this was how do I protect Adsecularis as quickly as humanly possible?
I mean, you could also keep them at 22 model units and put them inside transports.
I could do that, but then I lose. Hold on, 8 times 6. Nah, that's too many bodies lost. I need more bodies.
Oddly enough, if you want to survive better, putting them in the vehicles is the better choice for surviving.
Yeah,
and then you pain train all. Honestly, you could take AdSec units as a 40-point tax for pain trains.
It's fucking dumb.
All right, I'm going to turn this share off. All right, that gives us enough. That gives us enough dumb things for the night.
That's a good way to end the
I don't know if I'd say the word good. It's a way to end for sure.
I don't know. Hold on. I'm trying to think like, how do you think you win against that?
You just make them run off the table.
Yeah.
You just assault them, win the combat, and they flee. You sweep them because they're only initiative 2. And that's that. GG.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to close this out then. All right, as always, we do want to thank you for listening. Listening/watching, like we said, if you're listening to this on just whatever podcatcher you get, we're on all of them. We were doing a screen display of my side so we can kind of go through the roster editor, which we did talk our way through, and I am going to post those up. I save them as HTML, so maybe I'll make an Imgur link, so that way if you're on one or the other, if you're looking on YouTube, we'll have the link posted there. But on the other one, Imgur links are usually short, so you could actually get to that without having to go to the YouTube, although it's nice for you to go there. If you have been enjoying our content, though, like, subscribes, all those sort of things really do help us. We've actually been getting a good bit of growth, and like I said, we're the goal is to be doing this as well as doing some conquest, because all now of us are in conquest. We're getting rather involved in that and all, so we're always going to be trying to do a bit in terms of both. Just depends on availability of the week of what exactly is that we do. This is currently a Monday. My hope is that maybe for Wednesday we'll be able to do something like that. I don't know. We might go through some secondaries, or maybe play a little game or something. Who knows what? But the hope is to do something else at least this week. That way we can get some of that out there as well. Because Parabellum Games is actually really good with the community. So people who do content, they're actually really good with them. So we want to be able to kind of work on that relationship. Also, so people know, we've been in talks with someone who is across the pond, sort of say, who's involved in the game and all. So we might be having him on, or at least working with him in different ways. So I don't want to mention anything particular yet, because we're still kind of discussing, figuring out what that might look like. But there has been discussions related to that, so we'll see where that goes. If you want to reach out, like I said, we have a Facebook, we have a Discord. The links will be on YouTube for that. You could always also reach out through the email, trainkickersnj@gmail.com. I do try to make sure I check it at least once or twice a week. We don't get tons of emails other than them spamming me to buy shit, so I don't check it quite as often. But if we got more emails, obviously I check it more often. For what we're doing after this, we also want to get through, like I said, the Raven card. We didn't do the Rite of War, so that's an objective of ours. And then something related to Conquest. For 30k beyond this, I don't know. We'll talk about it, and we'll see. If you guys have suggestions, please put them in the comments. We're willing to listen to anything and everything that people may want us to talk about or hear about. There's still tons of deep dives we could do, but we could just do more general discussions or whatever, really. All right. I did our announcements at the beginning, so at the moment we have nothing else. So on behalf of everyone here at the show, then, have some good hobbying and some great gaming. Stop.